When you're around, round, round, love. When you're around, round, round, love. When you're around, round, round, love. When you're around, round, round, love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in and happy Thursday. You are watching the Paladins Pro Circuit Qualifiers Week number 3. We got the European Finals for you, a semifinal in NA, and a semifinal in Brazil. My name is Dolson, and joining me in the Breakdown Lounge is none other than Kresnik. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good, except for week 3.
Yeah,
Final set of open qualifiers. I mean, this is the last chance for a lot of people.
That's right, and then next week we'll obviously jump into the group stages. So the teams that we're watching today are qualified into those groups. But I even look at the first matchup we have here in NA between Sour Team and Team Circus. Are you surprised at all that it's taken Sour Team this long to make their way, not even just to the finals, but into the semifinals?
They had tough matchups in the earlier weeks. That's why every time I watched them in the qualifiers before the semifinal point, they were always having crazy close games. They were performing super well and then just couldn't make it happen in the end. So not too surprised that they got this far in having to go this far to get through, but definitely happy to see them this far so we can see these top teams still competing even down in week 3.
Well, before we break down their roster, let's look at Team Circus a little bit. Maybe highlighted by Maxinski, the brother, notably, of the world champion Bunker. What do you expect out of these guys? They've taken some maps off some pretty big name teams.
I mean, they took a map off of 5 randoms, I believe, earlier in week 1. But Team Circus, they're a newer roster, I believe, coming together. Maxinski, I know from watching them, K. Kiesel, I think on support has impressed me a bit, being able to keep Max alive, rotating in and out. And most people should know Maxinski from being and lurking in any Twitch chats anywhere in the past, because he's usually there. Any Mimi stream, he's going to be there.
Well, he is Bunker's brother, but certainly proving that he's a fantastic Paladins player himself, moving their way to the EU Finals here today. Of course, up against Sour Team. If you watched the PML at all last year, this is a team name that you'll be very familiar with, and a lot of these guys you'll be familiar with as well. They bring the roster of Stop Me, PJ, Sheepa, Uber Spady, and Nixus to the table. And today, at least, they've had a pretty easy run moving up here to the finals. I think Team Circus have a tall task to go up against them.
Yes, our team kind of looked unstoppable earlier in the bracket, and even in the earlier weeks they looked unstoppable till they hit those top teams right before the qualifier matches. So definitely going to be tough for Team Circus to do it. But again, they've taken maps off of teams that beat Sour Team before, so there's a shot.
Well, it's Ascension Peak for map number 1, a map that we haven't really gotten to see all that much throughout these qualifiers. With a lot of the meta changes, things like that, do you imagine ROM still is sort of in that conversation for pick ban status?
For sure, especially with that first ban on Genos. I mean, people can play it into him, but again, he's going to go away. He does so much in terms of just turning you around. If he can just avoid that Void Grip if it's up, or just avoid any other CC, he's going to make you turn heads. He's going to be something that you have to deal with, and that just gives the rest of the team a free opportunity to push.
You know, Chris, and Ruckus has been pretty much pick ban as well over the last 3 weeks of qualifier. What puts him in that conversation?
He's just such an aggressive off-tank. People, after the nerfs did a lot of the off-tank's damage, people kind of just want to equalize, not get rid of the off-tanks that can still do what they used to be able to do, and Ruckus and Rom are the two that definitely fall firmly into that category. Khan being the third, now with people running Vortex Grip, that CC coming into the picture too really kind of amplifies what he used to be the pressure with the damage. Now he's pressuring you by just letting the rest of his team kill you.
That's right, big stun on the commander's grab, running that talent, and then overpower as long as you hit him. I'll take a free insta-give every day of the week. Furia, Maeve, and Barrack now locked in for Sour Team. And that is Grok for Team Circus as well. Why do you think they pivot towards him?
I wish I could tell you. Honestly, it's an interesting place to pick the Grok. It's going to be fine. I mean, going to have that off-support healing pressure, able to kind of bounce back and forth. Maybe they thought they were going to pick Inara, so they wanted to get that counter pick up, but Barrack was still available. It really wasn't a sure thing, and they're even taking away the Ying, which, I mean, well, they already had Fury on the other side, but that would have been something else I'd want to play Grok into. Well,
they round out their front line with that Terminus as well, and Terminus is even just slowly started to branch out of kind of that Ice Mines only mindset. Jaguar Falls now here on Ascension Peak as well. Do you like where Terminus stands kind of in that frontline meta?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's a great alternative to the point tanks. He basically has an infinite shield, and if he hits you with all his blasts, which players at this level are going to, he gets 75% of it back. The constant chaining, as long as you're getting those charges, it's so hard to deal with. It literally infinite as long as he keeps connecting.
Well, Knessa rounds out the Sour Team lineup here. Strix was kind of a plug and play on any map at the end of the last season. Where do you see Knessa on this map, and what kind of play style does she bring?
She's still going to be a sniper. She's just going to be able to jump to the high ground, which is a big deal on Ascension. You can go from that little stair area, that's directly in front of the point, teleport up to the scroll high ground on the side, and make it way harder for any flanker to get on top.
Well, Sour Team, they've got a lot to prove here in the finals. Game number 1, Ryan Aggro Bailey, it's all yours.
Oh, I thank you, Dave. I appreciate you throwing it to me as making a little bit of a guest appearance on the Paladins side, joined, of course, by the one, the only Goremizer. And Gore, Sour Team is the team that it's a name that I know.
Yeah.
And if I'm knowing it, then I wouldn't expect to be seeing them here in week number 3, but it's taken them a little bit to qualify.
It's exactly what Kresnik was saying, where they've faced another team that was, number 1, number 2. Like, they're getting consistently beat only by the other teams that are really, really great in Europe, and it just cost them quarterfinal games and a best of 3. They weren't quite able to close it out, but now they've at least made it. So we know that we'll see them in the group stages, and now we get a little taste, a little flavor of what they'll be bringing while they're there.
And I imagine this is a game that they want, it's a sigh of relief. Okay, we made it in the final week. Let's just take care of business here up against Team Circus, right? I mean, especially when you're the front runner. And do you think they've drafted the right composition to try and steamroll?
The only thing I'm a little iffy about is the Kinessa, but on Nixus's hands, or in Nixus's hands, it should work pretty well. As Kresnik had highlighted, can kind of travel up and down between the high ground and right here on the objective. Other than that, you have Eevee Maeve, and on this map, with the Furia, they just get so aggressive, they get so in your face, it's hard to deal with them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a great map for a sniper, but Nixus certainly has the track record, so we'll see if he can make it work. Because it looks like Team Circus has been the first to the point, but this beefy front line of Sour Team is going to be a little bit difficult to get away, particularly this Barrack. Kresnik was saying he was surprised that it wasn't taken by Team Circus. Do you share that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, they grabbed the Grok instead, and right now you're kind of seeing, well, where's Grok? His damage is going to be able to come through, and it actually works well against the turrets here. But because of the statue kind of blocking line of sight, Grok hasn't been getting a lot of damage. Instead, it puts Terminus in a bad spot.
And PJ's going to claim first blood. The all-in from the front line doesn't really pay off for Team Circus now, and this should be good control for Sour Team. Maeve doing good work. Stop Me going to claim the second kill. And Sour Team immediately starts to push back all of Team Circus. Grok going to have to use that Ghost Walk, but Maeve right on top of him. Uber is going to clean that one up easily as Sour Team get close to capping the payload already.
And this is exactly what they want to do with this kind of team. Get aggressive, get some kills, and then just lock them in a hallway. It's like, cool, yeah, you're safe in there, Terminus, but what are you doing? The point's getting captured behind you. You can't get to us. And that just keeps them locked away. Eevee can do the same thing on the other side. It's just a two-front push to keep them held back.
And Sheep on this right-hand side really suppressing Team Circus nicely. I just don't know that it seems like Team Circus doesn't have anybody who can really knock this Eevee down quickly enough in order to stop this zone from happening really well. But between Maeve and Eevee, that's so much damage and mobility. Shaolin in particular is going to have to be really, really accurate, and that's a pretty high bar.
And the problem for Shaolin is, like, that's a great maybe counter matchup for him. There are a lot of instances where that could go his way, but this is where he's going to get pressured out. He can't look at Eevee and Maeve for too long because Nixus has him in his scope the entire time, just making sure to keep him locked down. And across all of it, you have 3 huge targets to look at, and every single one of them is hitting every shot right now. It's just so difficult to keep up with.
Tyre does get on the board with a double kill for himself. Stop Me's gonna get a nice flick shot there onto Khan. And what looks like a stalled push for a second might not be that at all. Stop Me still here on the payload and doing Barrack stuff, man. Setting up those turrets, dropping those shields, and moving it along despite what I believe was a 3-for-2 in Team Circus's favor.
Yeah, realistically, if your Shaolin gets a double kill at all on Ascension Peak during the push, it should at least give you 30 seconds. Like, you should have a little bit of breathing room. But it's just, you can't overlook, again, the aggression that's coming down from the 3 DPS, the fact that Furia is there and applies her own amount of damage. But Barrack himself, I mean, there's a reason he's so high prioritized. He just does a lot of good damage for a frontline.
Looks like this might be a quick first point. A Sour Team right on the precipice. Khan down to try and help it out. There's his immunity, and Shaolin's already been forced off. Bit of a toss back there by Khan, but it's not enough. Goremizer, a quick, successful push for Sour Team.
Yeah, Stop Me is honestly the one that I think is deadliest. Everyone else is giving him a lot of room to operate, but his focus on the objective there and the amount of damage that he's getting kind of for free because everyone else is a huge target on his team has made him, well, number 2 on the damage charts. I'd say number 1 is someone I want to get rid of. He's 3-0-7, and that's scary. Now they're coming into this round with a dome shield. They're going to have an inflame. All of that percentage that Team Circus was able to get at the beginning of the round, they're going to have to play so carefully to make sure it works because K. Kiesel doesn't quite have the illusory rift. Maxinski has the reanimate, but it's only useful if you're able to either A, get a kill, or B, ensure you're not going to die right after getting back up. And with the way they're playing on Sour Team, I don't know if you can guarantee that.
Big cauterized lead for Sour Team as well, as you would expect with a big successful push like they just had. So that could also contribute here as Sheepa has a little bit of trouble, but has that blink available. Going to go back to that wormhole. And he's nice and healthy, ready to re-engage and wants to get really deep into the enemy backline. Still has enough help because the rest of his team on the point are controlling this front line. Khan and Terminus both down. Out comes that illusory rift, but I don't know. It seems like it's already a fight that wasn't going in Team Circus's way.
Yeah.
That inflame's so huge for Sour Team.
And it's going to end up helping Terminus stay alive for a little bit, but only a little bit, and that's kind of the issue. It burns the reanimate, then burns the illusory rift. I would argue the two best things you had going for you in this round. And now you have nothing to really help retake the point. Tempest is slowly but surely charging up, but it's only at 71%, so Grok is going to have to get a lot of damage with a lot of contest time to make sure he can have that up to even get your team on there.
I don't know if Barrick used Dome Shield and it's already back up, or if he just didn't need it at all, but I know that Dome Shield's up and available if Sour Team so need it. They've already captured the point once again. 3 points for them now as Barrick gets tossed back, and he doesn't mind even a little bit. Dante falls to the hand of Sheepa, and that's nearly a full team wipe. It will be a full team wipe for Sour Team, and Team Circus is reeling.
If you have ever wanted to know, like, what's the best way to play on Ascension Peak? Like, if I came into this game and I wanted to make my team this is textbook. This is exactly what you need to do. Having the Eevee and the Maeve, normally we see those kind of get drafted against each other, and it helps balance things out. But both of them unadulterated on each team, finally you get rid of the Maeve, but you have to give your own life for it. You have this Kinessa watching out for them. You have a Barrick and a Furia on a 21 and a 20 streak. They're doing so well from top to bottom. It's hard to deal with.
When your tank and healer are both on 21 streaks, things are going pretty well for you, I think it's safe to say, as Sour Team on the edge of getting a 4-0 sweep here in game number 1. They've got ults to do it, Gormizer, in Flame Up as well as Midnight. This is going to be a tough task for Team Circus. They look empty in the ult department, but Nixus is a little bit low. Forced back by Terminus, but PJ has his back. No problem there. Nix is still low. Grok trying to finish him off, and Sayed will do it, but so will Sour Team. A 4-0 quickly here in game number 1.
You win the really cool fight on the side. You get your 1v1. You lose the game just because of where the focus would be. Which admittedly, with the way everyone else on your team was dying, he was in the safest place to be, just not in the best, I guess, of keeping your team alive. But that was more, I mean, Sour Team had Dome Shield going into the end of that. They had Inflame ready. They knew what they were doing from top to bottom, and they had patience that just held out throughout that game.
Ults to burn pays off for Sour Team. They take game 1 4-0.
Thanks for sticking around through a break that was about just as long as game number 1 was. Sour Team rolls their way through Team Circus on Ascension Peak. Kresnik joining me to break things down. It's hard to break down, I think, one specific member of Sour Team there. I think that is a pure example of when every cog in that machine is working. Yeah,
triple DPS being able to keep their distance, kind of poke them out when they really didn't have a way to make up for it. I mean, a Grok Shaolin DPS line against 2 flankers that are just going to run away and a Kinessa that's going to kind of stifle any attempt at a push. You can see here why it went the way it did. I mean, tank and support not dying. Rest of the DPSs, I mean, they all died a few times themselves, but that's just going to happen when you're that squishy.
Well, this is maybe a weird question to ask. Do you think that Kinessa, I mean, Nyx is obviously a phenomenal Kinessa player. Do you think a game this outstanding from a Kinessa on Ascension Peak is a bit of an outlier just because of how well Sour Team were playing, or do you think that Kinessa in general on Ascension Peak is a very viable pick?
I think it depends on the enemy comp if they don't have a way to answer you, and they just didn't. I mean, you can see him here kind of uncontested. What was the one time we really saw him die on screen? Oh, it was when Syed left the fight that mattered just to fight him on the flank of Ascension Peak. So you can see the aggro he takes away from his team while still almost top damaging on his team.
Well, you can tell it's a tough composition to play against. You have a Maeve and an Eevee flying around, jumping on top of you, doing all the damage, and then you have Nixus on a Kinessa in the back line, pouring things out, setting up kills, finishing off kills. It was really well-rounded and well-played composition there from Sour Team. You noted tinkering on Barrack was maybe an interesting pick.
Which normally would be status quo, at least in the past, but recently a lot of Barracks have kind of gone back to their shotguns. They've been running Fortify, they've been running Architectonics, but I think in triple DPS setups or in maps where they're just going to be constantly fighting at range, you can run it, even though you're doing 80 less damage a shot, which is huge. Sometimes just being able to play safer while still doing damage is enough to make a difference.
So I imagine you liked what you saw out of it.
Yeah, I would say so. Plus, it paired with the damage boost ult too. So when the Inflame is up, he's doing pre-nerf damage. So and people were running that with a damage boost or not in the past. Obviously, it's going to be lethal when it's doing that much damage at that range.
And that was a very good example. Again, sort of the double flank aggression. Put Kinessa in the back line, then the Inflame, the sudden go button. That was a very good example, I think, of that. If you're kind of learning and wanting to see how to play that type of composition at the highest level, that's a great example of how to do it. Timber Mill on the board for map number 2. Kinessa was already picked up on Ascension Peak. Do you think that maybe we get a bit of a sniper duel going here?
Maybe. I don't know. If I lose to a Kinessa, I'm not immediately thinking, all right, we're going to, guys, let's go to Timber Mill, the great equalizer. That's never going through my head, but maybe they want to do it. I mean, they're banning 2 flankers. They're going to be able to get on that Kinessa easily. But Androxus still exists currently, and that's still going to be fine at getting on the Kin as long as you don't pull a mid-season K-Crunchy when he triple dash straight line at a Kinessa.
Yeah, well, they're going to not only opt for a sniper, they're going to grab Strix first overall. Kinessa's still on the board here, but Androxus, he rears his head.
They're going to have to do it, and they can even get Kinessa now too. DPS are so important on Timber Mill because of the ability to play high ground and play safe, not really sacrifice a lot of your HP to keep doing damage. I don't hate them first pick. I might hate this.
I was going to say, is there a world where you pick away the second sniper?
I guess they feel like they have to, but the flanker is still going to be strong, especially if Sour Team gets like an Ashe or something to just kind of run them down constantly, never let them shoot.
Not only is there a world, this is the world where they're going to pick Strix and Kinessa. Ruckus has been a top-tier pick and ban, so they're going to have him there as well. You're still concerned about that Androxus, though. You think this might be a free farm for him?
It depends. If Sour Team goes like a double flanker composition, that Ruckus won't really have anyone to get on. The Genos will be able to get away. The Barrack will get away. Now you're playing a Ruckus to protect your snipers, and then your comp is just so stationary that they can just hold out. And like I said, double flanker. They don't want to give that Ruckus anyone to land on.
Yeah, Buck is there for some free dive as well. I am curious because when you kind of have sniper on either side, they stay up on those rooftops, at least on the point fight, kind of poke away at one another. If they get the shot, then they turn their attention to the rest of the fight. How do you imagine you position yourself with? Do you stick both of your snipers up on that roof and hope the other
it's real life, like one's spotting and one's actually shooting. Is that how it might go? Oh, Strix will run crack shot. And that'll reveal them through the wall for the Kinessa to find as well. But no, they're going to have to take different angles. They have to. If they take the same angle, it's going to be too easy to play around, especially since that Barrack probably going to pull out, I'm assuming, Fortify, just to have a stronger barrier between the snipers and them.
Well, it's going to be, I guess, technically a standard composition.
Yeah.
2 damages, 2 front lines, and a healer for Team Circus, but then double flank for Sour Team. Do you like what you see on the right-hand side of your screen a little bit better?
I think so. The double flanker on Timbermill against 2 snipers that aren't really going to be able to handle the pressure that well. I think Sour Team ended up on the better end of this.
I'm excited to see what Androxus is able to do here. Let's talk about the 6'0" frame and the ability to touch the backboard vertical leap. Ryan Bailey, it's all yours.
Yeah, I think you're forgetting about the fadeaway game, Dave. We'll work on the introduction next time around. Joined, of course, by Gore Miser here for Timbermill. Gore, when it comes to Timbermill, it's always a talk about which sniper is going to do better.
Yeah.
Now it's which sniper is going to live against this double backline dive that Circus Team is going to have to go up against. And Circus Team did ban 2 flanks right away. They took away the EV and the Mave, so I wonder if they had this in their mind from the outset.
I will say, and when you're coming to Timbermill, banning Eevee and Mave is a perfect choice at the beginning. The problem is there's so many flanks that can still make it work. I think Eevee and Mave are naturally going to be your top choices. It's just so much easier to just jump from roof to roof. But Andro has 3 dashes. Buck has an insane jump that lets him go from roof to roof. So they still fit in here. And Sour Team, even though it's different players this time around, Sheepa kind of still being the mind behind it, ran Buck on this map last year. Like, this was something they were doing in the past. So similar strategy that they've been going for. And I mean, Buck can go choose one sniper, Andro chooses the other, Khan goes with one of them to make sure they're safe, and they're perfectly fine.
Terminus going to meet up with a lot of damage here very, very quickly, and he's got that shield, but I don't know if it's going to last long enough. Nixus should be able to get him here. No, turns it around. Maxinski actually able to grab that first blood. Nixus getting a little bit too aggressive and ends up paying for it.
That's really good healing coming from the Valdamba, more than anything. I mean, Maxinski was 1 shot away, had the Siphon up to be able to keep him alive, and now you have a flank Genos coming out. But hey, if it works, you can't knock it.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, we lost 1 flanker. Let's see what we can do, and it's just send our healer as the next flank, as both frontliners for Team Circus are posted up in these buildings, and both get taken down fairly quickly. Syed also losing his life to the dive from Nixus. Nixus choosing targets maybe a little bit better this time around.
Yeah, that first blood slowed them down, but it didn't give Team Circus anything to escalate with, right? They weren't able to get in there. Even Uber Spade going down here, he was so far ahead, there's such a heavy zone that you're looking at 30% with 4 people. Like, you can hold this range pretty easily.
This is going to be an easy cap here for Sour Team, it looks like. A couple kills have gone the way of Circus, and maybe I spoke a little bit too soon because this Strix has been able to break the base, so to speak, and break that front line. Maxinski again trying to take the 1v1 up against Buck, and this time he's got some help coming from Syed. That flashbang goes out, but PJ still able to find him, even with his eyes closed. Tyre does take down the healer in response, but it's still a 2-for-1 so far in favor of Sour Team with 99% on the point. Overtime does trigger, and Tyre gonna get some good pot shots in, but that shield coming up from Barrick Payday gonna make him pay. And this should be point number 1 for Sour Team.
Yeah, it took him a little bit. I like the call from Team Circus being able to kind of break through. It really came down to Sour Team focusing too much on kind of the left-hand side of the path of the push. Just hanging out on the roofs, but not the right roofs, right?
Sure.
Not being able to block you completely.
Oh.
But hey, still have an overpower. Now their ults are online. They're going for a push, which is notoriously long on Timbermill, but this is a good way to start it.
Nixus in a bit of trouble being chased now, but Maxinski maybe took the wrong elevator. He goes down and then goes down shortly thereafter. Stop Me able to grab that one. As PJ has got to be the one to stay safe against a double sniper with 2 flanks and 2 front line. You imagine that it's going to be this Genos is going to be focused.
I mean, you'd think they'd try to get back there, but the only person who can really cover him completely is this Ruckus. Otherwise, he's using the payload and surrounding area perfectly to keep him covered from the snipers. Also helps when you have 3 people rushing them down constantly to make sure they can't look at you. But PJ's kind of comfy where he is. He's just kind of hanging out. It's very, surreal. He's just enjoying the surroundings.
Yeah, he's taking the scenic route all the way up to the point, which is exactly where Sour Team is going to find the payload. Hexifier finds a whole lot of nothing, but Sheepa's going to find himself the triple kill. Another quick cap by Sour Team.
That's just great. Not necessarily for Ruckus, but if you're PJ there, you just see the guns come out, and he just goes, nope. And then jumps down. He's like, you know what, how about not? Yeah, just steps out of the way. And it's moments like that that I think are going to really kind of break down where Sour Team stands versus right now where Team Circus stands. Because having that amount of conscious effort of just like, I know my surrounding area to know if he hexafires here, I'm safe, and we can kill him because he's so focused on me that he's not going to be able to find that damage. I mean, you have this Ruckus at 0-4. He's one of the top picks in Europe that we've seen in the last few weeks, and he's not really doing a whole lot.
No, and I'm going to be honest with you, Gore. It doesn't look like it's getting a whole lot better for Team Circus because they only have one ultimate available in that res from Terminus. You look at the other side for Sour Team, they are stacked to the teeth with ultimates. Androx is a pick that was absent for quite some time, but we're starting to see a little bit more of it, it seems like, is maybe that's why we didn't see it a whole lot. Syed able to put down Uber very quickly when he goes for that ultimate. But again, PJ staying safe here in the back line. Up top, Buck getting a little bit low, but has a bit of healing from himself and going to get some help from PJ at the same time. Not going to find purchase with that ultimate, and Sheepa does fall to Maldamba on this left-hand side. PJ maybe getting a little bit distracted as Ruck is going to try and find it, but Nyx is to the rescue, but instead it's he who falls. Bit of an ugly fight, at least the start of it here for Sour Team.
Well, they're going to be able to come back. That's the glorious thing. It was a very sloppy fight. A lot of ults that find nothing. They don't get anything out of it. But Uber's Payday died a minute ago, and now he's back again. So he's able to come through and kind of help pick up the scraps. I mean, comeback mechanic for Team Circus, in my mind, means they should at least be at 40% by now. But it's because of that stagger and the fact that Sour Team still had their tank alive, or their main tank still standing, that they never really relinquished control over to Team Circus. They just kind of kept them at bay until they could get back to the objective.
And get back to the objective they have already in overtime now to try and make another quick 4-0 a reality up against Team Circus. Good Void Grip here by PJ. That's going to set this Ruckus up for a bad spot, but he's doing what he can. In fact, he will take down PJ, so Dante gets at least something. But the other frontliner goes down simultaneously on Team Circus. Uber takes down Terminus. And so we begin the zone once again. Sour Team looking unstoppable so far here today.
And this is not really the best place. Like, for one sniper, you could use it on a defense and have it be pretty effective. They're usually up there near the saw blade. But when you have two of them, you don't know where the other one's going to stand. When you have another Dread Serpent come through that maybe helps kill off Sheepa there, but they haven't been peeling as much. It's kind of been used to keep Sour Team at bay more than to kill them off. And it's not stopping them too much.
Gore, are you telling me that standing directly on top of the payload push point is not the best spot for a sniper? Because that's kind of where Terminus has been left. That's been the only real estate available to him, and it's not exactly the best seat in the house.
Well, because you have Kinessa here, and this is like the only issue I have. Kinessa has a great seat. The Strix just stand next to her and they look at the same thing. Like, granted, the double shot could kill any of the members of Sour Team if they time it right, but you're not on the payload.
They sure aren't, and Sour Team going to get another quick 4-0 victory. But I'll tell you what, both those snipers through the scope had a great view of that happening.
Yeah, that's the the biggest issue with it, is just you're able to contribute a lot of damage to the fight, but you're about 40 feet away from anything that's actually happening. And so once the payload gets past that line, you don't have enough time to get up there and defend. Maybe if you're Kinessa, you use that teleport to go in, and then you die, and then it goes in anyway. I don't know. Like, there's not really a winning scenario to have a double sniper there.
Well, hopefully Team Circus can find something left in the bag of tricks right now. They're at a circus. How could they be running out of tricks already? We'll find out what they've got in store in Game 3 right after this.
Map 2 is a 4-0, and this set moves to 8-0 for Sour Team. Timbermill much the same as map number 1. I'm still Dolson. Kresnik with me one more time to talk about what we saw in Timbermill. Double snipers, Krez.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out.
No, it didn't. And the strategy was sound if it was a patch ago. You know, because Androxus and Buck maybe aren't going to perform to the same level as they're doing now, but they've just gotten better. Buck with the cauterized change is so hard to kill, and you could see they were sending people after him. He lives with a sliver of HP, bulks up right under the Ruckus, and Ruckus just looks at him. There's nothing else he can do.
And we highlighted it in the picks and bans, of course, with double snipers for Team Circus. Sour Team pivoted into that double flank, as you're there talking about. Needless to say, some of the most attractive slash lines for Sour Team are on that Androxus. They are on that Buck as well. Top damage almost in the game. I will say Tired did a good job of at least keeping pace damage-wise. But you were concerned that these flanks would have kind of free range to do as they pleased. And with shots like that, that certainly came to fruition.
Yeah, there was just no way for them to stop him, really. Again, they had to just play their tank super passive, and you can't do that. I mean, you saw the Terminus able to withstand a lot of pressure a little bit earlier with that trade he got onto Nixus in the first fight, but Maxensia wasn't really able to do much else other than buy himself some time while the rest of his team just falls around him, and Ruckus, again, had no targets. He killed BJ in after a fight once they'd already lost the point. Yeah,
there were a handful of, like, 1v1s that the Ruckus was able to dash in and, you know, maybe trade out a kill here and there. So bright spots for Team Circus in this are maybe some 1v1 kills here off to the side. But I think by and large, through the first 2 games, this is why we were so surprised to see Sour Team not move into at least the semifinals through the first few weeks. We knew that they were a team that was capable of this.
And they'll be able to do this against week 1 and 2 teams too. The games were super close. They just were barely getting edged out as the games were going on. And you can even see their flexibility in the draft. You know, they play Maybe v triple DPS game 1, go to map 2, suddenly ban out those two. It's like, oh, we'll play these 2 instead, and we'll do the exact same thing.
Yeah, and triple DPS, move into double flank, don't even need the sniper there on Timbermill. Game 3 could be it here for Team Circus. They've already qualified to the groups, but at least here in the finals for week number 3. Stone Keep is where we head, so back to maybe a little bit of normalcy after Ascension Peak. Move into Timbermill. Now Stone Keep. Let's just get rid of the Androxus. Why not?
You can't just keep banning the picks the DPS play.
Yeah, wait.
You can't just ban everything they play.
They can just go back to Eevee or Maeve now, right? Well, not Maeve.
Eevee, all right, that's it. Eevee Buck is the losing combination. That's what they play. I don't know. The way the PP Circus is drafting to me almost feels like they're trying things out.
Right.
It kind of seems like they're just seeing what bans will work, throwing things at a dartboard and seeing what sticks. And I guess it makes sense to do here. They already qualified to groups. This is for seeding, but you still want to have a good showing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is the level of composition that Team Circus will be playing in the group stages if they want to fully qualify into the PPC. Geno's had a 20% pick rate, an 80% ban rate, and a 100% win rate. He seems like he's the healer to have, and Team Circus have him.
Yeah, he's been really solid. Been banned a lot because of that utility he has, able to counter other characters too. There's no way Sour Team can pick Buck now because of the Void Grip, able to catch them in the air. So good choice by Circus to get them. Plus, paired with the Ruckus is great, and the Barrack. I think those are almost the dream tank line you want with him, boosting the Ruckus's dive potential and allowing Barrack to run Tinkerin to have that boosted damage with that extra range, or just making the headshots with the shotgun even more lethal.
Yeah, a much more attractive start, I think, to the draft phase for Team Circus this time around.
Oh, for sure.
I am very scared of Uber Spady on that Bomb King, though. It's something that we saw him tear up the minor league with last year. If it is truly him who's going to be playing that Bomb King, I imagine it would be. I love the pick on this map, and Grover as well. You know, Geno's such a powerful pick. That all kind of goes by the wayside with Emoji locked in.
Yeah, when I said they were trying stuff, I meant it. They're really trying.
I'd say a much more attractive composition picked up. Moji and Dredge, is there any merit to this, or are they truly just throwing darts at a dartboard?
I mean, our stats are going to look nice.
That's true.
They want to get rid of the zeros. I think that's what they're going for, and honestly, I applaud them for that, especially playing it into a Kinessa and Bomb King on the other side from Sour Team. I mean, good attempt from Team Circus potentially to spice this up, but these are only Dredge, I think, has great merit on Stone Keep. Used to be meta right when he was playable again, but this Moji, the range he has to play at, it is not Moji's range.
Yeah, especially when you're forced to play into a Bomb King and a Kinessa. Did you see 7-time Mr. universe Phil Heath walking around in the lobby this morning? No, that was just aggro, your chair 1 for game 3.
Nice and clean there, Dave. Way to nail that one. That's right, aggro joined by Gorp. No, Fawn. Fawn, I know there's emoji, but you can't just come and cast because there's emoji. That's not. I know, dude. I'll get excited about it, I promise. All right. Catch you later. Sorry, Gore, I got a call.
No, yeah, yeah, it makes sense.
Moji's in the game, and Fawn is death glaring me if I don't bring it up. Why?
Don't worry, he's on replays, so we will, depending, exclusively have Moji.
Yes.
Or exclusively avoid her dying the entire game.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to make the plays you wanted to make. But she's got some interesting changes this season. I don't know if it's going to make her escalate the way that Team Circus really need right now, but she still comes in with an execute. It's still going to be really good. A lot of this draft honestly screams to me that they have good point control, which is just, hey, if you're Terminus, you're going to have a really hard time standing on the objective under the barrage of damage we can throw at you.
But Sheepa's there as well to kind of be that next level of frontliner. Grok a little bit more
get back
beefy
there. Get that sniper.
Than what you got. And Moji immediately hunting for this sniper, but seems like Kinessa was all over that. And PJ and the rest of the boys have had their way with Tired. In the meantime, they get first blood on the other side, and now Team Circus has to try and loop back around, but Uber's Payday and the rest of the boys are ready and waiting. Plenty of damage on this Bomb King. Dante falls first. Moji could be next, and she will be. Apologies to Fawn, is 57% already. Make that 60 on the point for Sour Team.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a quick do's and don'ts list of Stone Key. Mainly, it's just going to be in the don'ts column, and it's don't give Bomb King the high ground for free.
Okay.
He just lives up there on that balcony and is like, cool, I'll just throw some bombs on the point. I'll control this stairwell. Oh, you're coming in to try and contest me? Cool, I'll hit you before you can even get to me. Like, he just controls his zone so well. And now you have Uber's Payday kind of on a 4 streak, but building up a lead that is going to be hard to catch up with. He's just doing so much damage and well, bopping everybody who gets thrown at him.
Yeah, this is getting a little rough out here for Team Circus. Clean from long range.
Had to do him dirty.
For Uber's Payday. Throwing the long ball like Patrick Mahomes out here. Beasting all over Team Circus as they're already halfway to another 2-0 start. They might not drop a point today, Gore.
Honestly, they're in a really good position to not only do that, but to do it in a very fast manner as well. I mean, finding 4-0s, we've seen some that go on forever, but sometimes, I mean, it's just clean. And right now, this is just clean. This is just good Paladins from them. You're not seeing a lot of return kills coming out from Team Circus. This is not a draft that, in my mind, screams a perfect comeback, 1.5 minute defense. Maybe Dredge can pull something out, especially if it gets a good Kraken, but you need something more from your front lines, and they're just getting melted.
Nixus is just having a field day in the back line here. Set up the tent, looking real comfy out there. Nice day outside, and he's just taking pot shots left and right. Uber's Payday was under a bit of pressure for a moment there by this Moji, and all of a sudden, Sour Team, again, almost sneak the payload in, it feels like. Team Circus, that's not the first time today, Gore, that they've been a little bit too focused on some of these backline kills instead of the point.
But I will give them some credit. This is not the first time I've seen a team go literally killless in the first round and then win a Stone Keep. Like, it's one of those things. This is a really weird map that everyone knows so well that comeback mechanic, one, not only gets you into it, but every point fight is just kind of, okay, what did they do last time? How do we adapt to it? Do we want to go high ground this time? If you can contest Uber's Payday up there a little bit faster, all of a sudden that Bomb King doesn't get off on the tear. You can go back and get Nixus. Like, it kind of starts a chain reaction to get to the back line and cause trouble for Sour Team. They just need it to happen. Unfortunately, they used a lot of those big ults towards the end there, so they won't have some of them available.
You know, Gore, I don't know that Team Circus has gotten a point touch since Timber Mill. And I don't think they did in point 2 of Timber Mill either. Maybe this can be their round, but it's not off to a great start. But Moji does grab the kill on Uber's Payday. That's big, because that Bomb King has been huge. This time they didn't give up that high ground for free. Make Uber work for it. It doesn't pay off for him, but look at this. Nixus, again, just putting in these shots from a distance. Another great start for him in this round. Looks like he's going to have to deal with someone a little bit closer range than he'd like. Immediately take the teleport back, but Maxinski's still able to put him down. That being said, Team Circus still has not touched the point quite yet.
Yeah, it took him a little bit to get to the position to really dominate that Kinessa, although right now they're having trouble dominating anything. That Dome Shield's just going to buy some time. I mean, 60% to none. it's the approach. You can contest high ground, but still send someone to deal with the Kinesso. Like, split 4 and 1, maybe 3 and 2. Just do something over there, because otherwise,
Fun,
you end
look
up in
away,
this kind of
Fun!
position.
Oh no! Poor Moji boy. Immediately con ulted, and not a whole lot you can do about that. Overtime ticking already, as it's Varric to the point. A fool's errand to try and stop this capture. 3-0, and Sour Team just a couple short feet away from going undefeated here in the finals of Week 3. See if they can do it.
Yeah, this is honestly why, if you were wondering why people were saying, man, how did Sour Team get all the way to Week 3? This is why, because they control so much of the game so well. It just happens that they play against other teams that were also comprised of like ex-PPL players that were keeping them toe-to-toe. But as Kresnik had mentioned, every week before this forum had been really close games in the quarterfinals that they lost. So we were expecting to see them go to the group stages. I'm honestly expecting to see them in the pro circuit. Things would have to go pretty catastrophic for them, but they are a solid team. They're just showcasing right now why they are so good.
PJ does end up falling eventually. Syed will follow quickly thereafter. Uber right up to that high ground again, and he's going to take down Genos with ease. Sheepa going to set up for a double kill for Uber. And as Circus team try and turn their attention to this Bomb King, he decides to go on the aggressive, not going to hold that high ground any longer, but this Ruckus may cause him some problems. Great healing, but not quite enough. PJ almost saving the life of his Bomb King. But I think that exemplifies a lot of what's gone on so far. A lot of Sour Team just kind of going where they like, doing what they like.
Man, and for the first time, it feels like they've actually gotten a pause if you're Team Circus. Like, you've been able to zone them out at least a little bit. Granted, you still have the tanks nearby, Bomb King coming through, but without PJ around, it's maybe not as solidified as, yes, we can get through here. But King Bomb is great for opening the door. They have the overpower now to throw someone off the map. They can find some lethal kills here, and that Hexafire is going nowhere fast.
OG gonna come up and try and knock down Uber, but Uber healing up quite nicely. 24, make that 25 streak, by the way, for Sheepa. Is that good? That seems good to me.
Yeah, that's, you know,
that seems solid.
It's average for Sheepa.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll see if he can keep it going then, as he's gonna find another pluck onto the Moji, and Stop Me gonna stop him very quickly. King Bomb comes through with Sour Team closing the gap and trying to get to that perfect day here in the finals. Members of Team Circus falling left and right, and Sour Team secure the perfect finals.
There's a moment there where Dome Shield, like, it's always used as that, okay, keep me alive, keep me safe. When Khan is more than willing to pluck you out because he knows the throw distance is going to get you out of the shield, and you're going to be stunned right afterward, and he's just like, all right, I'm just going to throw you to the Sharks. This Dome Shield means nothing to me because I'm sheeping on like a 28 streak now. There's only so much you can do at that point.
Monster performance from Sheepa, but really from every single member of Team Circus. Uber's Payday and Nixus, both with 3 deaths apiece, but I think they more than make up for it with their 12 and 9 kills respectively, especially those two backliners. I mean, 55,000 damage apiece. That's pretty solid. Tyre did put in top damage in the game at 56,000, but that dredge wasn't enough.
And granted, I mean, he's only 500 ahead of the next highest. Like, the two members on the side of Sour Team were able to kind of keep pace with him.
Look at this emoji highlight. How fun.
And, well, hey, you know what?
What a weird coincidence.
Was that the only kill she got that game? Maybe she got a couple more. I didn't look at her slash line as much.
Pretty close over here. Close, but no. Oh, no. No, we were feeling good about that highlight for a second there, but ended up not. This I thought was going to go well, and then it went less well the longer I watched.
I'm so happy that we have this.
Do you think Fawn felt good about making this replay real, or do you think this was a moment of deep sadness?
Yes, only because I can hear the memes that come through with it, right? Where it's just like, we just watched a whole highlight reel of Sour Team for 3 games. We don't need to watch them anymore. Show me something interesting. I like this a lot more.
Hey, you get a little bit of a different perspective. We saw it.
This is what it was like to be Team Circus. It's just constantly getting killed, constantly getting pulled out, never having, you know, what you need in time. And it's not even their fault. It's really just the fact that Sour Team are so good at what they were doing that they controlled and collapsed on everyone in Team Circus to just stop them.
Well, these guys are going to collaborate here in the group stage. I think that works well enough. This is your European group stage with Sour Team making it in is going to be one of those in Group A that looks pretty stacked to me right away.
I mean, District 69, Chroma Space as well. There are huge names. And PackBet, which I know is a Russian name, but I can't remember the Russian pronunciation for it. So I'm just going to say it that way.
That's fine.
There's 4 really solid teams in Group A fighting for 3 spots, and that is going to make for some interesting games.
So make sure you tune in. Just, next week, right? For
Yeah.
for that group stage to happen. But we still got more Paladins today. You don't got to wait for more Paladins action. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Now I'm on the casual set, joined by Gormizer over here. We just walked right over and sat down. We got our nice. Normally, this is a Bologna statue when I'm sitting here. I'm kind of digging this Bomb King.
See, my favorite is we have the throwable one as well, just in case. I don't think they want me to, but it is.
But it's an option.
You know,
is what
I
we're
mean,
saying.
you get the nice feel for it. Man, Mog King must have huge hands. But, you know,
Hey,
just
well,
in case.
just
In case someone comes in we don't want.
Yeah, watch out here. We're loaded to the teeth with Bomb King armaments here at the studios. Of course, it's time for the Brazil games, but normally we'd bring you the finals. We are going to be bringing you the semifinals here today because the finals were not up to that competitive standard. So we've got Fusion up against Blitz Gaming coming at you here on the top side of the semifinal. Gore, this is both these teams have qualified into those group stages.
Yes.
But you still want to make it into those finals to get into the better groups.
And, yeah, you're looking for seeding here more than anything. That's kind of what the wins are meaning in these first few weeks. Once you make it to semis, cool, you're in, but, you know, maybe like in Europe, you see District 69, and you're like, man, I really don't want to go up against those guys. Maybe I can try to work my way through this bracket where I don't end up fighting them. And that's kind of the same with Brazil. I mean, you have two powerhouse teams that we saw in week 1 for the finals, and you don't want to be against either of them if you can choose that way, but you want to try and find it through. Here you're, you know, where you want to be. I guess you're qualified, but you
Sure.
still need to figure out where exactly you'll end up.
And you want to get some momentum with this being the
For
final
sure.
week of these qualifiers. This momentum translates more directly, I'd say, than, say, week 1 or week 2 making it into
Yeah.
those finals. And it's really going to be up to which of these teams can find that momentum. Blitz Gaming, a team that has a little bit of recognizable names.
Yeah, that's the best thing about this, especially for Brazil specifically. You go back to the PGS, there were always a ton of teams in Brazil that wanted to compete every single week. We would always have a full bracket for them. And then they kind of, like, the PGS disappeared, and so they didn't have a place to be able to come through. Now they're back doing, I mean, right now it's pretty much the exact same formula
Sure.
that they had back then. And so you are showing up again. Blitz Gaming were around then. They've been hanging around in Brazil, and now they kind of get to show their face again. And that's why I'm excited for it. I just like seeing these teams that are either coming back, or if you're like Fusion, being able to kind of make a name for yourself and showcase what you have.
We'll see what they have in store for us as we're ready for game number 1. Frog Isle, I believe, is going to be our map. We saw a lot
map.
of focus with that ROM up against Genos, that kind of tension there on if you can get one open and not leave
Yeah.
the counter open to the opposite
That's
team.
the biggest thing, is trying to find one without the other. Ideally, I would argue for most teams, it's get me ROM without the Genos.
Sure.
But if you can ban off the ROM, you could theoretically get Genos, or you ban both.
Sure.
And then Furia, honestly, in my eyes, is the one that jumps up to potentially the top pick.
Oh, well, they must have seen what John Finch and I were doing while we were practicing Paladins in the offseason, because our Furia gameplay was carrying many a game, if I
Yeah,
do say so
and
myself.
she's, I mean, it's hard to argue against her damage, plus her relatively safe disengage. It's not going to get you out guaranteed, but
Sure.
you can keep yourself alive. She has a stun, good heal that applies a shield. And then her ult that with morale boost comes up way too often, being able to say, hey team, let's just move faster and do more damage. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, the two things I like the most when I'm trying to kill other players in the enemy game are movement speed and damage.
Yeah.
So I kind of like having both of those together for sure. Blitz Gaming going to answer with a Strix and Khan. It leaves open Barrack and a Zin pick here for Fusion. Is this a typical pick in this sort of spot?
I feel like I've seen Zin on the rise, but more or less I've seen him on some of these maps like Stone Keep, but Jag Falls comes out to my mind, Bright Marsh. Frog Isle, in my mind, I still want to go to Eevee. I'm still thinking of Maeve. But because of the way Zin has been buffed and has kind of a third strike swing that goes long, a lot of people would remember it as what was Yomi before.
Right.
Now you can hit people much further. It will still pierce. And that helps him on maps like this where it's still pretty open, but with his survivability and that damage, he can apply a lot.
Kinessa and one more. It's going to be Makoa. Man, this is very different than the last time I casted
Yeah.
Paladins, where teams were scratching and clawing their way to try and get Makoa under any circumstances. Now, he's the final pick here for Fusion.
After all of the time that I spent in Paladins, and even 3 weeks now of this, it's still kind of blowing my mind. Like, the first set, we didn't even see Makoa on the picks and bans board, period.
Yeah.
And it's just some small tweaks that have come through with him. I think he's still very good, but he does have a lot more counter potential, which is something he was always lacking before. If you had Makoa, he just did the thing that Makoa does. Now with the hook on a larger cooldown, if you miss it, you're going to feel it and you're going to miss it.
We'll see if those hooks
Yourself.
can land. Game 1 starting off right now. Let's throw it down to the premier Ganesh player in Gold 2, Dave Olsen.
That's right, soon to be Plat 5 aggro. Come on, Frog Isle kicking off here. Kresnik, last time we saw 2 snipers in a set. It was, of course, over in EU, but they were on the same team, and now we get to see back to maybe some normalcy with a bit of a sniper duel here on Frog Isle. Much to be expected, I think. That was sort of the meta for a long time. It is the first Kinessa pick here in Brazil, in the qualifiers, at least, from what we've broadcasted. I imagine you're happy both teams have kind of moved their way into that sniper conversation.
I would say so. I mean, it's two teams that are going to have kind of what you'd expect. They have that hit scan backline, maybe a flanker on each side, a strong kind of lockdown, I would say, off tank on both sides, with Makoa having the half shell instead of what we were used to seeing in the past with that pre-rework Leviathan. So gonna have a lot of pressure on both sides. I gotta say, I'm worried about this Zin a little bit. Zin is great. The matchup into the Eevee is going to be good, but both of those tanks can survive Guillotine, and that's kind of the whole reason you pick them.
He is just going to be playing alongside the Makoa here to start off this round, with Blitz Gaming putting themselves onto the point first, but Inara's very chunked down right off the bat here. First blood, that goes the way of Fusion. Zin moves his way in. Deja Vu grabs the kill. And that's a great start for them to knock out that Eevee already, so a little bit of flank pressure mitigated, but how do they capitalize?
I mean, they're just going to keep this damage up on the objective if they want to do it. You can already see the Makoa pushing up on this side. This Khan's shield is lower and lower, and this Sin working out better than I expected, and they're going to get this Renara surrounded.
Finally, Renara goes down. Health bar was so low for so long, and they were finally able to capitalize on the kill. Into the ice block is Eevee. She's going to soar her way away out of that one. Deja Vu is just locked down this right-hand side. Him and Makoa have just stacked themselves over here. Illuminador on the left-hand side of the map finally grabs the kill onto the sniper for Blitz Gaming, and look how aggressive they're starting to play. Just a little opening, and that line is pushed firmly back.
Yeah, they're able to keep them out as well as possible. They do manage to get a trade onto the Xin, but just giving this Renara kind of on an island, and you can see how quick her health's melting away.
That's right, and she's got to be careful. That's kind of the point tank that you need to stay alive, and Flame used. Souza is going to grab the first kill in this re-engagement. On the point is Blitz, but the numbers all in Fusion's favor. 3 down, point number 1 goes to Fusion.
They're reminding us why you pick Furia. There's so much just confirmable damage, easy to confirm damage coming from the Furia, getting clean up on the Eevee. Blitz might have gone a little bit too forward. I mean, you look at their composition, you have the almost not even arguably the better counter sniper in Strix. Eevee wants to bait, I think, a little bit more, and I guess they don't want to bait their Eevee because they're trying to pressure you off with Illusory Rift.
Yeah, Illusory Rift is going to keep Blitz Gaming aggressive, but with 2 minutes left, Fusion not feeling worse for wear. Chopped down is Inara, so now you're 4v5 on the defense. Khan has to use the Battle Shout, immediately hooked off a stage left, right back into the fight with Fusion. Deja Vu into that billow, whirls forward, and that's Kinessa again able to capitalize on a kill. Blitz Gaming, they are reeling Kresnik. They're not able to step out of base.
And they're the ones getting blitzed by Fusion right now. They're trying to get aggressive, but just getting completely stalled. And I wouldn't even throw this to you there. Why would they do that? Seismic Crash traded with the card so close.
You drop it down, and it's into the Dome Shield. In the meantime, Deja Vu's able to grab a kill with Max Souza with one more himself. Blitz Gaming, they are crumbling. Inara is the last one in range. That is almost the full 5 sweep. It is actually with Strix respawning. All 5 members on streaks. And Fusion, they're off to a hot start.
I don't know about that.
They only died once.
The ultimate usage there at the very end is tough. They use Ice Storm and they use Seismic Crash, and maybe you can say that, oh, I think Dome Shield is better on mid, so let's just do this, because a lot of barracks had that instinct to counter with it right away, keep themselves alive and not trade a kill for nothing, but still, the Ancient Rage on the other side is going to let the Makoa be so aggressive. You think back to the PWC.
Yeah.
G-Bunny on Makoa for one of the first times ever literally almost single-handedly won the game by just using Ancient Rage, running up danger, and being unstoppable, and there's going to be a repeat of that right now from Fusion with that ultimate. Now that he has that CC immunity on base, he'll be able to play in the shield while doing that, and even more survivability than we're used to seeing.
Oh, you're bringing me back. That was such a good game. That was game 7.7 up against Envy, and it was just unbelievable, but Overpower is going to start this one off, so Ancient Rage is going to have to wait for just a moment. So Blitz Gaming making good use of the one and only ultimate they had available, but how much more can they get? You need to be able to push yourself forward, grab some control of this map, but unfortunately Titan is the next to go down. Daxor is going to grab a double kill. Good play from the Eevee to move herself in, but Deja Vu just lurking in the back line. 89% thanks to that fast cap. Missed shot for the final one. He's able to move himself back in, get the kill onto the sniper, and Blitz Gaming still looking good.
Daxor's turning it around pretty well, I think. The Ancient Rage is coming out, but it's not where they want. Xin might follow up, but Illusory Rift's going to counter.
He's going to pull the Eevee right back in, but 97%. Fusion's got to get themselves onto the point, and they have to stay there. No room for error here. One more pot shot over that shield will grab him the con, but enough healing from the Ying is going to keep Blitz Gaming in control of this one. Barrack moves himself in. No ultimates for either side, but Seismic Crash soon to be ready for Blitz Gaming if they need it. Good Titan's going to move, God Titan rather, is going to move himself down. Void Grip is going to lock up Barrack, and that is point number 1 to Blitz. And what a turnaround from a 1 kill, 2 points to finally capturing their first point of the game.
Total turnaround by Daxor. The con made a lot of space, and Daxor played around it so well. I think they also played a little more to the strengths of their comp. They want to hold back and play their sustain. Because of all that extra healing and all that immunity that the con's able to have, he lives through a guillotine. That's supposed to be a guaranteed kill, but they managed to counteract that, and one of Fusion's game plans kind of just falls apart.
Yeah, I think it was well played by them as well to start off that round entirely with the overpower, pull out the Ancient Rage just a little bit later. So they were able to get themselves into a spot that they felt comfortable with, and now the payload's moving quickly. This is, of course, what you can get on Fragile. You can get swept off of the map for the first few points, but just some good team fighting will put you right back in the conversation. And just sort of the way the bonus credits work, even though, you know, it's a 3-minute first couple of points, you capture mid-fight number 2, and credits-wise, you're right back to even,
yeah,
effectively.
Yeah, that 300 boost is a huge deal. Fusion did have to use the Inflame there to stabilize, let their Kinessa have a little bit more space stacked with the Headhunter. But they're recharging their ultimates now. They have this kind of even 1-to-1 zone, but it's just support spending their ultimates over and over just to take a little bit of space.
Well, the clash continues on, from this perspective, the left side of the map. It has been Makoa and Zin. Great hook. Pulls Daxor back down to earth and back to death. God Titan's able to answer back with 1. But you can tell the play that Fusion has been going for. They just send Makoa and Zin now off to this right-hand side, and it's been working out for him.
And it's how you have to play with the Zin, I think. You want to be able to make that room. And you have to at least win the trade with the other flank. Because, again, Guillotine is a little bit harder to confirm against these tanks in Aura. Throwing himself away, just doesn't want to stagger too long, wants to give him a chance for another fight, and give himself more time to charge some ultimates.
Deja Vu is going to be the one to actually get credit for that kill, but I think Makoa did most of the work there. 30 seconds left. Fragile, certainly a map where a push can happen in that amount of time from this range, especially if Dragon Arrows is going to start off with a kill, and that's going to get rid of the Furious, so no healing, at least for 10 or so seconds, and not able to get out is Luminador as Barrack falls one more time. 10 seconds remaining now. Blitz Gaming in a good spot. Both teams getting close to their ultimates, but what do you spend?
I don't know if you really need to spend anything from Fusion's side. They can honestly just hold, let it get closer, and try to force something out of Blitz. And I like how they're not contesting here. Even though everyone's up by a little bit of time, let the card get around that final corner and just make them take the worst fight they possibly can.
Well, Blitz Gaming, they lose Daxor right off the bat. A nice double kill there for the Kinessa. That's a perfect defense. You don't need to spend when you're getting the kills. There's only 2 members left. Make it 1. That's a great defense there from Fusion.
They did spend Headhunter just to equalize, and I'm not sure if they needed to. He was still hitting headshots regardless. It does a pretty significant damage boost, but not a ton.
Oh.
That was a double CC onto Daxor trying to get aggressive, and I think that shows that Fusion kind of realized what was going on. They were just saying, oh, this guy's just running all over us, and we need to spend as much as we can to stop him. Clearly 5 deaths on his side means they're doing a pretty decent job already. More deaths than most of the people on their team, and they're pretty high in the damage charts, but I think that's to be expected with a Furia, that Inflame, letting them get aggressive when their comp kind of has to be aggressive in the first place. It all stacks up.
Well, top 3 on your team are going to be your 2 damage dealers and your Barrack, and I agree with you. A lot of that thanks to Max Souza and that Inflame, and you're going to have it here. One final point to maybe win this game. You've got everything except for the Headhunter. Blitz Gaming still charging up that overpower, so they're not going to be able to start off the same. Fusion, they're going to get things started right off the bat. Deja Vu billows away from that Commander's grab, and now into the Spite, not able to finish off the kill. One final shot's all he needs. What do you get from that Inflame? Yeah, you buy yourself some zone, but you don't find any kills. Now Ancient Rage for the Makoa is going to move themselves in. First kill onto Daxor with the rest of Blitz Gaming backpedaling to get themselves out of this fight. This Makoa is demanding so much space. Finally goes down, but Fusion, they're on the point.
He got caught in a corner there and wasn't able to make it out, but still made enough room. And they still want to be aggressive, but is this too much? Their Kinessa's half HP, and Barrack doesn't really have too much support. Yeah,
making room is the name of the game here, as Fusion are on the point with 66% and the zone to maybe take game number 1 here in the semifinals over in Brazil. This is where Cubbies wants to be. I'm just going to pop out some shots here. Be careful with Daxor soaring high above, but with Inara going down, this gets a lot more difficult, and that is a 1-for-1 trade. Back onto the Kinessa. Be careful. Get yourself back out. They only have 3%, so you do not need to win just yet if you're Fusion. But, hey, let's push that advantage. God Titan is the next to go down, but Max Souza falls as well. Nobody in range to touch the point, and Fusion take game 1.
Getting Peligros early was so key there. Having both tanks stacked on the point made it so tough for them to burn through, especially when it's just Strix. And he's looking at the support. He's saying, oh, get rid of the healing. You're getting rid of a decent amount of health pool, but you got to burn through the health that's already there if you want to be able to flip that around.
What'd you like there from Fusion? A lot of the conversation I had with you was about that Zin and that Makoa creating space, but the Kinessa doing a good job as well.
Yeah, I think so. The Sniper Duel was doing pretty well, considering you normally give Strix the advantage there, but that pressure on the side that the Makoa was putting out, especially in the last mid, I think was what really turned it around.
Well, Blitz grab a point, but Fusion, they grab the win. They are up 1-0 here in this best of 3, and we're going to go to a quick break before we get back to game 2.
Welcome back, everybody. Aggro joined here by Gormizer as Fusion take game 1 in a game where they looked really, really good, point 1. And then Blitz Gaming came back point 2, and you're thinking, okay, maybe we've got a game on our hands. And then Fusion immediately shut the door.
It was going into the last round. Fusion had 4 ults available, and Blitz didn't. And that, honestly, is enough to usually determine at least control at the very beginning. Comeback mechanic is always fickle as to whether or not, yes, I can grab this point, or no, I can't. And then they just staggered out the tanks to the point where it was just like, okay, cool, we have control of the game. You can't do anything here.
And that's exactly what ended up happening. Fusion get that win. Turns out, Makoa, 9th pick, pretty good. I'd say.
He worked out, well, the same way Makoa tends to work out. Very aggressive, able to hold the side, put a lot of pressure to make sure that Strix couldn't necessarily poke out the Kinessa. And, well, that led to about a 30,000 damage difference between the two snipers. Cubbies was able to control so much more of that space, and having someone else kind of pressure him out. Every now and then you'd have Daxor getting back there and causing some trouble for him, but most of the time he's able to just pelt damage into Pelagros, who we saw was like 0-8, 0-9.
Yeah.
Like, you just couldn't really live as a tank on that objective.
And I know that they're 2 healers, Gore, but 9,000 damage for Pollution, you compare that to the 26,000 the Furia put out. You think that was a big difference maker?
That's definitely going to be a huge part of it. And again, that's part of the reason Furia is so high priority right now, is just because of the fact that she can do not enough damage that you're thinking, oh yeah, let's pick her instead of a damage champion. But if you're looking at the other supports who are going to get 9 to 12k in that kind of game, she's doubling their damage. She's doing more than they are able to apply. She is the battle healer right now, and so she slots into that really well. It also helps that Khan was either A, so shut down, or maybe just B, so disconnected from the team that his damage was pretty negligible this game as well. His control didn't come through as much either, and that helped Souza, but it also helped the rest of the team keep control of this fight, because it's kind of a 4v5 for a lot of it.
It's tough battle there for Blitz Gaming, but certainly you think there's a team that has the potential to try and turn it around as we get closer to game 2. Is there are you just trying to keep the Furia out of the hands of Fusion at this point? Have they proven that that's a pick you don't want to give
I feel like across these last few weeks, Furia, in my mind, is just one of the bans that you should have. Like, if Makoa's no longer up there, but Torvald you're still kind of keeping up there, although I would say he's in a more manageable state now. Rom is going to be up there. Torvald, Furia is my third. Like, some of these other DPS champions will cause trouble, and so map to map will change, but she's just so consistent. It's so hard to deal with. You can take her down, but is it worth the effort?
We'll see if that's what they choose to do, is if it's worth the effort to try and play around her, or if they'll just ban her. As we've got Jaguar Falls here for game number 2 between these two teams.
I like this map.
Fusion up 1-0. Do want to make an amendment. Apologies for David's first time cast at Paladins in a while. It is a best of 5 here in the semifinals, not a best of 3. He's trying his best. Don't be too hard on him, chat. Rom, the first ban here by Blitz, followed by that Torvald, as you mentioned. It wouldn't be Blitz that would want to ban the Furia, right? You're looking at forcing Fusion to try and ban it if they want to not let Blitz get it first.
That's probably the biggest thing is, you know, we don't want you to have it. You're going to be first pick. If I'm first pick, I think in most of these games I'm going for Furia. There's a lot of merit to Barrack that comes through. There's a lot of merit to a ton of picks right now. But I feel like Furia enables everyone and isn't a detriment to anything. Like, there's not necessarily like a hard counter to her.
Sure.
You could maybe put Ying on that list where it's just like something that can keep pace with her because of Illusory Rift. But I mean, she's so good that she just screams first pick to me.
Well, she's first picked, but not by the team that had first pick. Blitz Game actually elect for the Xin instead, and Furia Barrack, a pretty potent return here by Fusion.
Yeah.
Why Xin before Furia here?
Xin is good on Jag Falls. Like, that is not something to overlook. And if he goes Guillotine for this as well, he is a tank killer. He will just slaughter them down. And the 2 DPS that Blitz have now with the Vivian locked in are really good at controlling this point and finding a push conversion. I just don't know if it's worth that trade. I mean, Furia Barrack, it's kind of hard to go wrong with your last 3 picks because you have such a strong first 2.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you're in a pretty healthy spot already.
It's a good guy.
It's an Atlas, another pick that was a permaban all of last year that I haven't seen a whole lot of so far in these qualifiers. What explains that lack of Atlas?
I mean, he got a little bit of a damage nerf. It was 900 for a fully charged shot. Now it's 750, so his headshot damage went down. But to be fair, it just means now he's kind of a tank instead of a 3rd damage character that happened to also have 4,000 health before. So it's going to still apply a lot of damage, a lot of control. The fact that you can rewind other players is insanely powerful, and it reverts them to their lowest health. You can keep yourself alive. I feel like he should still be higher priority. I think it's just that his skill cap is pretty high up there and makes it a little more difficult to pull off so consistently.
We'll see if Fusion can do just that as Drogos rounds out their draft. A couple characters that we haven't seen a whole lot of in Shaolin and Drogos and Atlas on their side. You like their draft? You think they're going to go up 2-0?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling it. I think Furia, Barrack, Drogos alone is good enough. You add in the flavor of Shaolin and Atlas on this map, and I think they've got it going well. Blitz have some good clapbacks, but I don't know if it's enough to find them more than a few points.
I feel like Vivian is going to be her job to try and keep this Drogos under control.
for sure.
We'll see if Blitz can do just that. Let's throw it down to Kresnik, and the man voted to most likely have the first Cincinnati Bengals Joe Burrow uniform. It's Dulcin.
Oh, it's already in the mail, aggro. You best believe it, and that means the Bengals are not going to pick Joe Burrow. I've jinxed an entire city, an entire fan base. And I'm excited to be here casting my second ever game of Paladins on Jaguar Falls in this first to 3 best of 5 semifinal in Brazil. Our first look in this region at Drogos, Kresnik.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty solid pick, especially on this map. Vivian, it's going to be her job to look at it with that hit scan, partially Khan too, but so much. He could just keep so much distance. Vivian doesn't really do that much range damage. She's definitely that mid to close range brawler. And she's not going to be able to deal with that Drogos the way they're going to want them to, especially since he can just float around the outside. She's not going to be able to jump off the map to chase him unless we really want to have them on a Hall of Shame kind of anti-highlight reel.
Right. And they brought it up on the desk, and a little bit of Atlas as well for Fusion. Going to grab their second win in this one. I imagine a lot of Blitz Gaming's ability to win, though, does rely on that Vivian finding some unchecked damage.
Especially onto the Barrack. That's going to be the worst nightmare of a Barrack trying to sustain on the point. But you can already see this Drogos more or less uncontested. Just a Zin and a Khan, and they're going to back off, regroup, and they're going to win these AoE fights because of that combustible knockback.
Yeah, Luminador is going to get himself onto the point, just touching a toe and backing off when the danger gets too high. Cubbies, he's not on the Kinessa this time, he's on the Drogos, but he's still sniping some kills. God Titan, first death into this game. 72% for Fusion. Blitz Gaming all locked off in the back of this back room. That's a good Atlas wall as well. It's just going to save the life, save some time. Good stun onto Peli Gross as he tries to Shatterfall downward, but Cubbies, the second kill of the game, and suddenly the gates are open, overtime ticking away, and they are not in range. Fusion, they grab point number 1.
So much control from Fusion the whole time, and honestly, Blitz kind of just gave it to him. They just picked it up. They all walked into one little room, huddled up, and then decided to figure out their game plan. By the time they had it, it was 90%. No way they could do it. The one person they sent to fight this Drogos was the Khan, who can't shield up, can't keep himself alive. There's no way he can stop those rockets from just barraging down on his head.
Yeah, he was just kind of doinking the Khan over and over and over again, and eventually God Titan fell. And that's all Fusion needed to kind of kick down that door. Now you got to try your hand at defense, but with one of your frontliners already going down, things looking dire right off the rip here, and Pollution next to fall. Suddenly Grover no longer in this game for 10 or so seconds. This Atlas is helping his team move themselves forward.
Yeah, getting so aggressive on the right side and hitting all these setbacks, and that's a pretty big deal. That the new card in the Lloydat for this season, connecting setbacks, can reset the cooldown of your stasis field up to 5 seconds off. So getting that, hitting those, and getting more shields when that's basically the main reason you pick him, it's a huge deal for keeping his team sustained and pushing.
That's a nice spite. Is going to set up a kill for Daxor there. Just going to keep Fusion off on their back foot just for a second. No dome shield ready for him just yet. Not that he would have been able to use it. That's an early spite. There's still 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Fusion, they're able to get the other 4 members out alive and still have plenty of time to give it another shot.
Looks like Blitz honestly just spent the only ult they have looking at them, and Fusion's going to respond with a Dragon Punch Inflame.
And he's moving so fast, unable to find the final shot. Instead takes a good bit of damage, not able to get himself out alive. Daxor does finally fall. That's a 1-for-1 trade. Both damage dealers down, but God Titan falling makes a second death here for Blitz. That is Dome Shield used by Luminador there, with Terminus just trying to play stall on this contested payload, but he's so low. Got a little bit of a spot heal there, not enough to keep him alive. Pollution has to move himself in range of this cart. And now you're approaching that one after another territory. And I think once God Titan goes down, this payload goes in, and brute force from Fusion gives them their second point.
If any of those tanks were a little more uncontested, maybe that could have worked. But again, Khan is just doesn't have it against Rogue. You can see right there, even if he got his shield up, it literally would not have made a difference. It's a great just overall, I think, setup from Fusion in general. So nice we watch it twice with how well he controlled that main area.
Yeah.
And that Terminus didn't even have a res that whole time. He's about to have the reanimate for the first time, and it's going to be probably the most important thing, but no resilience on his side against an Atlas means a rewind sets him, a setback puts him right back to basically 1 HP. That's free for the rest of the team.
Well, not only are the top 4 damage dealers in this game all for Fusion, but Max Souza is ahead of both Peligros and God Titan, who are at the bottom of the list there. So Furia out-damaging both your frontliners. It's a bit of a tough pill to swallow here. Granted, as you point out, I think this Khan has had a bit of a rough go of things with this Drogoz just kind of pouring out damage into him.
Yeah, and it's going to be something they have to find a way to work around, and they have already with a different start to the mid-fight. They started with the Xin, and they're collapsing on them inside Dark.
Well, Dragon Arrows is going to get himself involved for the first time in this game as Deja Vu falls, but Atlas does as well. So Blitz Gaming, they have fast cap on their side. This is how they were able to get one of their points on Frog Isle as well. So a good start here. 3 ultimates in the back pocket if need be. Daxor not able to use the spike to keep himself alive. 93% and climbing for Blitz Gaming, not in time. And there you go, another fast cap point for Blitz.
Luminador just doesn't dash early enough. They knew how little time was left, but didn't do it, and they had to adapt a little bit faster, at least be thinking ahead. They did the same exact plan, not expecting Blitz to change anything. Because the team huddle happened a little early because they were able to react in time and actually be in the right position.
Well, I think this is the response, save Illuminador going down, that you want to see on the start to your defense. They're able to grab a couple kills.
And the self-rewind on the throw from the overpower keeps the Ornstein in the map alive. They're trying to just trade on this healer, but Blitz Gaming just couldn't find it. Nothing really found value there.
That's not really where you want your overpower going, right?
No. I mean, unless you're close enough to the edge, but I think he threw him straight horizontal.
Right, the immediate kill box.
You have to throw them straight down if you want to get rid of an Atlas, but he has Resilience 3. Honestly, if he's just double tapping both hands on the keyboard, he might have been able to make it back anyway.
And make it back he did, throw regardless. So now that's an overpower that's going to take some time to recharge, especially with this defense kind of hitting its midway point with Fusion completely in control. They have a dome shield, they have the Exiles, but as we saw on Frog Isle on their defense when they got their 3rd point Fusion, they felt free and clear just to find a few picks, stall it out. Let's save our ultimates going into the next mid-fight.
And this looks like a similar, if not even more dominant defense, honestly, coming out for them. They're just completely locked down on the cart lane. With how little God Titan's been able to do also, he's probably not even going to have an overpower for the next one.
Well, there's the Vivian getting involved a little bit on this offensive push, setting up a few kills. 4 members down from Fusion with 45 seconds left for Blitz Gaming to get this one pushed on in. It's going to be tough from Fusion, though. I mean, they have a good bit of space built up, just kind of fresh off of respawn, but Blitz Gaming have moved themselves in comfortably. And now with those Sentinels out, if this Vivian finds herself some space, she's going to tear through those health bars.
For sure, she'll be able to do a lot of damage. Plus, she has a hard counter to Shaolin ultimate with that Sensor Drone, able to see him straight through the Heat Haze regardless of what they want to do. They want to just play it slow, though, playing the corners, natural cover to get as close as possible before the fight actually breaks out. They want to find the poke, but everyone's just hiding, but the Exile could open it.
Well, it might be just one final fight. Atlas, instead of going back to safety, moves himself right back in range of those Sentinels. They're able to trade out one onto Daxor, but Dragon Arrows has found himself kind of a peekaboo situation here. He's able to poke out, do some good damage, set up some kills. Luminador, he goes down as well, so that's 8 seconds remaining on your Barrack. You're going to need him to get back into this fight. Cubbies grabs the kill before he trades out his own life here. Dragon Arrows having to backpedal. That's a great stun. They're not able to capitalize. Deja Vu does find the kill. Overtime is still on. You got to keep yourself on. They're going to pop the Inflame to try to give themselves the advantage in this fight. And the Dome Shield goes down, so they do end up having to spend some ultimates, but they do get the point.
They spent everything to get the chance to win, but honestly, just Deja Vu being in the backline was too much for Blitz to deal with. They started chipping him and went, I guess we don't need to, pushed past, and suddenly he's just raining down arrows on the team, and a huge root paired with the flank from this Vivian was what really gave Blitz the upper hand to have a chance to convert the payload.
And that is a perfect snapshot of an unchecked Vivian. Damage chart's still somewhat the same. Atlas has fallen a good bit beneath the other 3 members of Blitz Gaming. But this Shaolin, I think that's a quiet top damage in this game, 4, 2, and 7, but still getting it done.
Yeah, that's the role of the damage. I know sometimes you lock a damage in a ranked game, you do a ton, but you go even and everyone's calling you terrible and report you, but honestly, the damage characters, they're not really expected to find a ton of kills. You want them to just do damage and not die, and that's what Deja Vu's been doing. He's been doing his job perfectly.
He's doing plenty of damage here. He pops the Heat Haze to move himself right back behind that giant stasis field that Atlas had put up, and there's a final shot for him. One more kill in the kill feed for this Shaolin with God Titan going down. But Blitz Gaming, they've been on the point this entire time. Still fast cap, 4% per tick. 4% per tick for them to climb up here. 81% as Fusion's going to move themselves in. One down from Blitz Gaming. Fusion maybe finding an opening here with the kill onto that Terminus.
It was smarter by Fusion, I think, to ignore it at first because the mid was their weak point last time, and Daxor maybe a little ahead of his team.
Yeah.
Getting picked off. Fusion have to back off, but Blitz Gaming are playing a 5v4.
Yeah, it's tough to lose that Xin. This pivotal of a point here in this mid fight, and that's 51% for Fusion, and they found plenty of space to be aggressive as Dragon Arrows goes down. Cubbies takes a few too many shots from that Terminus, and down he goes. So it's a 4 versus 4 with the reinforcements coming a little bit quicker for Blitz Gaming. Down comes crashing that Terminus with God Titan moving himself in. Deja Vu falls. Exile's ready to go here should he choose to use it, and that's a good second chance to get himself back into the fight, and then Flame is going to give them a fighter's chance at getting themselves this 4th and final point. But 97%, you got to move yourself in. Exile, that's going to counter out the overtime, but it's going to time out. God Titan back behind his shield, stays alive, but not before Illuminador is able to get it. Overtime melting away, and now you're just throwing bodies on the pile. That's a good rewind, and Fusion, that's a gritty final point fight. They're able to grab the win.
I almost had my head in my hands there as soon as that Exile hit that con. Because that's a free contest. He's still contesting even though he's immune to damage.
Right.
It almost made things so tough, but the pressure onto the backline, onto that Vivian, was what turned it around for Fusion, even in the face of that.
Do you think that's sort of where this game goes awry for Blitz? They were able to check that Vivian enough?
I think so. I think the Vivian doing less damage than the Barrack is not the place you really want.
Yeah, that's tough. Fusion, they're able to grab their second win in this best of 5, maybe third and final game right after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Fusion end up taking game 2 as well. A big final point fight that eventually they get there. Aggro joined by Gormizer here on the set. Gore, I mean, turns out Atlas still pretty okay sometimes.
Yeah, it turns out having 5 seconds of a huge wall that covers the map that just says, hey, you can't shoot me now. It's pretty solid all around.
Yeah.
And then, granted, they also had a lot of fun, I think, really coming down Drogos without anyone that was contesting them as heavily as they should have, and Shaolin kind of free-firing through a lot of that game. It just made it a lot easier for Fusion to find the right position.
And at the end of the day, again, giving your whole team movement speed and extra damage
Yeah, Furia, really.
turns out to be pretty good
Real
a lot
good.
of the time. And Fusion able to capitalize on that on the back of the Furia 2 games in a row now. Now, Pollution did do a lot more damage this time in comparison to the Ying game. 50k for him on the Grover.
Not a lot of healing.
And more healing than the Furia. Is it just those bursts of effectiveness courtesy of Inflame, or do you think that it wasn't really about the Furia this time around?
I think she helped a problem that was existing without her, and then it just, once the ult, when Flame comes up, it made it so much more troublesome for Blitz Gaming to deal with. The biggest thing for me is the fact that Cubbies here that we're watching as Drogos went from playing a Kinessa to playing a Drogos, which is not an easy swap to make for one. But, I mean, look how many people are looking at him. Unless Khan and Vivian are able to get to this guy, or he puts himself in trouble by using a Dragon Punch and getting out of position, there's not really that many opportunity to lock him down. You have two projectile characters in the Xin and in the Grover. They're not going to get to him. Terminus definitely isn't going to get to him, doesn't have the range to do it. So you needed that focus onto him, and it just never was there. And then when they finally did start looking at him, Shaolin was like, this is my time to shine. And he just moved up, used Heat Haze, and everything was fine.
Man, especially that last point fight was so close because we saw Fusion use a ton of ults to push the payload in just before that with the so that they could give themselves a chance to win, but put themselves a little bit behind the 8-ball, but they managed to play around that nicely and still found the win.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing for me in that entire game is the fact that there was someone named Dragon Arrows and they weren't playing Shaolin, and that just seems like an injustice on its own. But other than that, Blitz Gaming, it's just been kind of decision-making for them, right? Where it's just like, should we send people over there? The answer usually should be yes to that. If that guy's causing trouble, deal with him.
And we'll see if they can do that here on map number 3, Stone Keep, as Blitz Gaming try and avoid getting swept. We saw a very dominant sweep in our first set of the day, but I imagine, this one has been closer throughout so far. At least Blitz Gaming has been close on a couple of these points. They've gotten points. Couldn't say the same for Circus Team earlier on, but Blitz in that first pick position. You wonder, do you think they're identifying the Furia as the common factor? I think they have. They end up banning it.
This time they definitely have at least been able to isolate it. Like, guys, what's going wrong here? There's something consistent between Draft 1 and Draft 2 that was really, really troublesome for us. And it is that Furia. I actually think, like, Koga is one of those bans that I think they could forego, but it also is a Brazilian meta. Like, this is actually really big in this region, so it makes sense to still have him up there. But now you've taken out what I would say is the root, like, the root of all evil against you so far. The problem is that the other root of all evil for them is still available. Luminary isn't as great of a difference in no boost plus damage boost in terms of Inflame, but it's more consistent. It's, hey, instead of having just this window of really good damage boost, we have forever damage boost, and that's going to cause a lot of trouble.
Xin and Torvald picked up here by Blitz Gaming. Giving a Xin a shield from Torvald, letting him kind of run wild on the back line, seems like a pretty good plan.
If you thought Xin didn't die enough before.
Seriously, yeah. As soon as Billow's down, you just give him the shield, Billow's back up, reflects back up, he's good to go. And they get it, and Fusion gets a reflect of their own in a way of that reversal from Androxus. This Androxus, I imagine, is going to be tasked with trying to keep this Bomb King in check.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. It should be, I want to say, relatively easy for them to get back there. It also doubles down because now that Androxus is off the board, they don't have that route to go forward to kind of get the natural predator to a Drogos. But they don't necessarily have the most hit scan. They have a single Torvald for the point, a Leon who's looking to kill off Drogos. If I'm Fusion, if you just get another really good point tank like an Inara here, then they don't have a lot of room to stand on if you're Blitz.
Yeah, that Grover certainly paid off in terms of damage and healing last time, but a different route here for Fusion. Not another point tank, but just more damage in that Vivian. Both sides have plenty of damage here.
This is going to feel, I have a feeling this game, just as a whole, is going to feel like Team Deathmatch with a little bit of objective play on the side. Fusion have been focusing on the point a lot, so I expect Khan will be there, but without his shield, or if it gets melted too fast, he's going to rack up a lot of deaths down there. It'll be interesting to see how Fusion manage this and where Blitz go with this aggressive composition.
Fusion trying to close out the sweep. Let's throw it down for game number 3. It's Kresnik and UGA King himself, Dave Olsen.
You're right, Aggro. UGA King. I thought that one broke me. I can't do that one. That one was good. UGA King Olsen. Calling the Stone Keep game number 3. There are 6 damage dealers in this game, maybe 6.5 with Khan. Are you at all concerned for Blitz Gaming that the Torvald is your lone tank?
Yeah, and I think Fusion did a great job kind of forcing them there. Andrew Drogos, excuse me, in response to the picks that Blitz Gaming had done, what else are you going to pick? You need something to do with the Drogos, because otherwise both of those DPSs just run away from your Torvald bubbled DPS, whoever it is, making them go Leon, which opens them up to go Vivian, which counters Torvald even harder.
Yeah, not that I'm thrilled that Khan is my point tank, but he is much better at doing that than a Torvald who's going to be following around damage dealers all game, and Fusion is going to take advantage of that right off the bat. They get the kill onto the Leon, but they also have a Khan who is free and clear to just sit on this point. Blitz Gaming, I think they're kind of banking on being able to just find a whole cascade of kills all at once, and that just hasn't happened just yet. 87%, so now the question, who dives down onto the point, is about to get answered, and
no one.
Nobody is the answer.
They don't even look at it, too. I mean, that is the last place I want to be as a Khan on this map. I don't want to be down there. I also want to mention, they don't even want the Luminary. They're running Binary Star. They want even more damage to burn through these bubbles, where this Genos can support his team with this crazy poke. Torvald can't get away, and you can already see how good this draft from Fusion is.
Yeah, and Blitz Gaming, they need to find a way to slow the roll right now, because the roll is moving its way right into their base. 2 minutes in the game, about 2 minutes left on this push. This Androxus has been left unchecked so far. And this is where you want a Torvald composition to be thriving before a lot of those Wreckers come online.
Yeah, you have to do it early game. You have to win early game. I mean, these bubbles, Wrecker not as strong because it's only 20, 40, 60 now, but you're still going to get to one-shot territory, and you have to win the game before that happens.
Unfortunately, they're going to trade out 1 for 1, or maybe fortunately, because Blitz Gaming, I think on that point fight, would have loved a 1 for 1 trade. This is a good range from Daxor maybe to be able to find a kill, but instead God Titan on that Leon falls one more time with Cubbies getting his kill in this engagement. Good Poppy Bomb, and he's gonna have the dashes to get himself right back on the map. That's 3 members down. Once the spite falls, that's gonna make it 5. God Titan is in back off of the respawn, but Payload inching its way in. Nobody wanted to jump on the point in the mid-fight. I can't imagine any of them want to jump down and contest the Payload. That is called a 2.5 minute 2 points.
You can see the huge weakness at triple DPS when you're trying to defend, because they just walked in bottom right, the place you would normally put your main tank. There's just no one there. There's 2 DPSs hugging the wall and praying that no one gets aggressive enough, and you can't stop a Vivian if she wants to come through. So Kubies just walks in, finds the kills, backs up, baits them into more damage on the other side. They can't even kill the Khan with their 1 execute. They spend Guillotine on him. He just shouts through it. That's why people have been picking Khan so much lately and not banning Xin as much, because his main utility is just completely negated.
Yeah, you change shielding, you maybe change damage a little bit, but he's still got some good utility in his kit. He's going to have his main one, that Overpower, very shortly here. It was about a 3-minute first 2 points here from Fusion, so Blitz Gaming have been able to keep themselves alive in some of these games thanks in place. Double kill. The moment I say they've kept themselves alive, Max Souza puts them in the grave. 2 down, and the dominoes are just going to fall here. Blitz Gaming on the back end of a through time and space wiped off the map.
And the Whirlwind connects on nothing too, so Blitz don't even have that for this retake. Only a Torvald bubbled King Bomb, I think, would be their best chance in retake, and there's no Hyper Beam going to be up potentially by the time this game is even over with how little the Torvald's been doing.
Well, it is 1 Androxus, and Cubbies on that Vivian against the world here, and that is Luminador back on the Khan. Ooh, good thought there. I mean, that is a small sight line. If that connects, this Payload...
Enthusiasm is important.
Right, enthusiasm is important. The Payload is going to move forward nonetheless. And at least, if nothing else, it returns back to that 30% charge. But this is it for Blitz Gaming. You're down 2-0 in the set. You're down 3-0 in this game. That is the King Bomb drops down, executes the Vivian. And this is where you need to push your advantage if you're Blitz.
Yeah, they need to keep just finding 1v1s people who are potentially bubbled. But the Dragon Punch on the other side, they want to equalize right away, and they don't even get the trade back. So Fusion in another great position.
Oh, nice shots from Deja Vu as well. And call them dominoes one more time, because they have fallen again. 5 members down from Blitz Gaming, and we saw what happened last time they were staggered out and respawning it. Things do not look good for Blitz Gaming. 11 streak, 19, 17 streak for that Androxus. Kresnik, this could be it.
Yeah, and they need to play around their Leon a little bit more. They need consistent poke to protect them. Last time, Deja Vu just walks in the back, and the Leon's not able to protect his team, and no one else can contest this Androxus at all, and even now he's just missing on him trying to glide through.
Well, you got 2 kills with your previous 3 time and space, none on this one, so you average out to 1. I think that's a pretty good scoreline there for Max Souza. Daxor falls, Peligros does as well. Dragon Arrows is going to trade back 1 kill here, but the payload's so close. Suddenly it's a Xin and a Leon trying to defend, and that never bodes well. Fusion in quick 4-0 fashion on Stone Keep roll their way to a win.
Yeah, solo tank Torvald, unless you're G2, it's not happening. That's the last time I saw that strategy work, and that was just because they were better than you. They were able to just walk around with that.
If you're Blitz, at that point, are you just hoping that there's so much offensive power that you're able to sweep a team fight win and then there's nobody to contest that point? I mean, are you purely relying on getting just numbers advantages and kills?
I would think that, but the fact that they made it not a single offensive move kind of makes me think they had something else in mind. Maybe expected them to push into them and then they burn them down, but Fusion's playing with more sustain. They have to expect that on the side of the Torv, not too many kills. Daxor did a decent job getting trades, I think a couple with ultimates, but in the end, top damages, but not enough to turn things around.
Well, looks like the Androxus meta is upon us once again. Deja Vu, although not top damage in the game, actually 3rd highest, was able to go undying. Great game there from Fusion. Are going to move themselves into the group stage. So let's take a look at the Brazil bracket, and if it's any surprise, Fusion 3-0 Blitz Gaming, they move on to 3-0 their opponents in the finals as well. This is going to be a competitive team in a couple weeks in the group stages.
Yeah, the group stages are going to be really exciting, seeing these teams that haven't played against each other outside of scrims in forever with no real official place for them to play.
Well, you can take a look at the groups right there. Blitz Gaming move themselves over to Group B with Fusion over there in Group A. And I think much the same as Europe, as Gormizer pointed out. I mean, I think every team in these groups is competitive, but you talk about teams that you would expect to snag those spots. I mean, there's 3, 4, maybe even 5 in any of these groups with 3 spots up for grabs.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think some people would have the top teams kind of set in stone, but below that is going to be a bloodbath, I think, trying to make it into the PPC.
I agree. I'm excited to watch how Brazil plays out. And that is in 1 week. Those are going to be some long days. We're going to get to see a lot of Paladins, but we're moving our way towards full-blown qualification into the PPC. That is Europe done, Brazil done. We got NA in just a sec.
Welcome back, everybody. Time to move into NA right now, and much a similar story to that of Brazil, where unfortunately we won't be able to bring you the finals due to competitive integrity, but we do have a great semifinal match for you here today. Yeezy PogChamp up against Mad Grizzly Gaming. Aggro still joined by Gormizer here on the desk.
This one's done already. Yeezy PogChamp is the best name I've seen in all qualifiers. Put
good.
them in the PPC. They're good. They're going
done.
through.
Yeah,
There.
they just
Done.
get a
We're
message.
out.
They get a message from the admins like, "Hey, you're good. You named your." We really should give an award for best team name.
Yeah.
If only to discourage bad names, because there are a lot of those.
There are a lot of bad ones. Like I think we should highlight like a top 5 best player names every year
Yeah.
or like every split, and then a
Agreed.
top 2, top 3 team names. And if we go in all history, I have to give credit to like Buh. That was a really solid team name. It's just the
Okay.
letter B. That's pretty solid. You can't really beat it.
No, that's pretty. It's short and sweet for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of good names, Yeezy PogChamp's got one on there. Ballin' Berry.
That's right.
I love that immediately.
The man, the myth, the legend. Like this is one of those names I think it's really funny because the whole reason I remember it was the first time we saw it. We're like, who is this guy? Like, what a silly name, Ballin' Berry. Like, what could it be? And then he like popped off that set, and it was like, okay, we get it. Like you're balling, you're actually there. So he's one of those guys that was floating around the scene for a while and has done well.
Well, we'll have to see how these guys are going to do in this semifinal because we've seen 2 pretty quick games so far here. Quick sets, I should say, in both
With
Europe
quick games,
and
yeah.
Brazil. They've been pretty quick, 3-0s in both regions. We'll see if this one can be a little bit more competitive this time around.
Realistically, I think that means if you lose this first one, you should start shaking a little bit in your
Pack it
seat,
up.
right? Like you're just like, man, I don't know, guys. Like 2, I don't know if we can bring it back at all. It's definitely been a little more lopsided, which you kind of expect when you get to this level, I guess, or this week in an open bracket where it's just like, okay, there's still 1 or 2 like stragglers that are coming through, but they're kind of the front runners versus everyone else. Europe was kind of a different story where it was like, well, Sour Team has been trying this entire time, but they kept getting up against like District 69 or Chroma Space or insert another team like that, and it's just like, man, can't do much against that. Here you are looking at the last few players who have been on these big teams in the past, who have now got like a team of their own and are coming through to try and prove themselves.
We'll see if which team can prove themselves right now. Picks and bands ready for game number 1. Ice Mines, I do believe, is what we're going to be kicking it off with here for this set. Indeed it is, and it's going to be Mad Grizzly Gaming in that first pick slot.
And there's so much that I think Ice Mines enables and disables in terms of picks. And it's a very weird instance to hear me saying this and to feel me saying this, knowing that I'm about to. But Terminus could very easily be one of the top 3 or 4 picks in this map. I don't think he's going to be first pick. I still think, in my mind, if Fury is open, that's who I want first pick almost all the time.
Wow.
But he escalates on Ice Mines.
Is it just because those long sight lines, he has a shield that can really nullify a lot of that damage longer term?
Yeah, his Siphon helps him out so much on this map, and there's so much that he can just cut down because of it. And admittedly, I think Reanimate, it's kind of like Sleeper, because there's a lot of times where it's like, cool, we're just going to run away. If you die in the right spot in Ice Mines, it's weird to plan around that, but like, hey, I die on the objective. They either have to get away from there or hide themselves and collapse into a small area, or they take, an immense amount of damage in one area. It's not necessarily the safest place or safest champion to be up against.
Well, Rom has been let through for the first time all day today. And it looks like Yeezy PogChamp kind of insulated themselves. They picked the Genos early on.
Yeah.
They go with the Barrack instead of the Rom. Are you surprised that they don't just go Rom Genos right away?
I feel like Barrack just synergizes with Genos incredibly well, and he always has a lot of good damage from him, so it fits really well. Plus, Barrack can kind of keep himself alive to make up for the lack of full sustain. And that Genos is the perfect counter when it comes down to it, where it's just, I'm going to stop you from running, I'm going to cripple you, and you're CC'd now. The biggest thing for Rom, and it still feels dumb to say it this way, but that's the only way I can think of, you have to kill him, and that you just have to kill him really well and efficiently, and there's no better way to do that than avoid Grid.
Just CC him, forehead. That's always the game plan. Furia, Victor, the last 2 picks here for Grizzly. Furia falling all the way down towards the back end of the draft. But Sky on the other side, and now a Grok for Yeezy. A bit of a weird comp. How you feeling about it?
It's feeling very Ice Mines here already for Yeezy. I think Grok is going to look pretty good against the Anar and against the Rom. I think there's a good amount of damage. But Victor is like consistent, whereas Sky is a wild card. And that's kind of the matchup that's going to make a big difference. That being said, percent damage up against a Ramen and an Anara can't really hurt you, so I hope this guy does well.
Real Ice Mine hours here for game number 1. Let's throw it over to Kresnik and a man who balls far harder than Barry, Dave Olsen.
I don't know if that's possible, Aggro, but I appreciate the vote of confidence anyway. Ballenberry is in this game, playing for Yeezy PogChamp if you're watching on Twitch, or Yeezy Gorwow if you're watching on Mixer. Kresnik with me for game number 1 of this NA semifinal in a curious draft. I'm very excited to see how all of this plays out. The Sky, an interesting pick. The Grok as well. Maelstrom going to be putting out plenty of damage, and they pick a Rom into a Genos. Lots to look at here for both teams.
For sure, but there's something I want to know first, Dave. On the terms of Ballin, where do you think you fall from Baller Steve to Ballenberry in your level of Ballin?
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's the higher level of Ballin between Ballin?
Can anyone contest with Ballenberry?
I guess not, right? And then, okay, look, I mean, if Ballenberry is like a 10 and Baller Steve's a 9, I'm like a 2 on the Ballin scale. No way. I mean, if that's the metric we're using, I'm nowhere close to either of those two guys. And nowhere close to the point anymore. This is the Anara, and curious positioning from her there. The rest of the team hadn't really joined the fight yet, and Yeezy PogChamp off to a beautiful start. 1 tick of damage away from grabbing the kill onto Kronos, and they are able to do so. And another deja vu. I'm having deja vu. Deja vu is in this game for Mad Grizzly Gaming as well. 66% to start off for Yeezy PogChamp.
This triple support composition, which is more or less what it is doing wonders for them, because the other team has great sustain on their tanks, but they're just the other side is just running squishy characters with a ton of healing, a ton of speed, and percentage health damage from the Sky. Those tanks are not able to withstand that, and Nara and Rom are the weakest to that. Plus, no shields to stop this Grok from bouncing, so this Furia has so much healing that she has to keep up with.
Yeah, Nara stepped a toe outside of the base there and immediately was killed off. Yeezy PogChamp off to a beautiful start here. That's going to be the ultimate from Grok, just to buy some space there from EV to try to push back Mad Grizzly Gaming. He's able to do that and then some as he sets up a nice kill onto Geo. So the Victor is down and Anara finds death one more time. Yeezy PogChamp, Krez, they look unstoppable right now.
Hard to stop someone who's moving at basically 40% movement speed all the time with Dissipate in that Sky smoke bomb. Speaking of Sky bombs, one goes to the back, but I don't know if it's going to find much of anything.
Well, it does make Furia kind of think twice about moving further forward there, and that is the barrage. Sets up a nice 3 kills for Mad Grizzly Gaming. It's going to be Sentinels popped from Vivian with 1 minute and 28 seconds left. Looking to stay alive. Thought he could be sneaky, but Kronos sniffs that one out, and this is going to be a dead Vivian here shortly. Ooh. I was going to say, would have maybe been a little bit questionable if he was able to trade out a kill, but the respawn would have been close nonetheless. But now with full reset, the Yeezy PogChamp look to fight their way back in.
And actually, I was about to say this might be tough for them, but look how Shiro's walking. He's just crossing in front of all of them, and he can't even wall in time. Basically gives them an entry pick.
Yeah, this has been a rough game for Shiro so far on this Anara. I don't imagine that stops anytime soon. Yeezy PogChamp have had that number since this game has begun. So you have a 4v5 just for a second here for Mad Grizzly Gaming with the Yeezy PogChamp moving in, and they immediately reset it, but a 4v4 as Sky falls. But Victor again, kind of in a spot where he hasn't been able just to sit back and confirm a lot of that good damage that you need. Great Void Grip sets up a kill onto Kronos, and Yeezy PogChamp, they're looking good to convert.
Oh, the wall from Shiro blocks off Kronos when he's trying to leave. Shiro's got to be thanking his stars he didn't get that seismic crash off, and I don't think there's any way Grizzly can contest with no tanks alive. This is seriously a nightmare for the tanks on the side of Mad Grizzly playing against that composition. I mean, Vivian, Sky are 2 of the best tank burners, I think, in the game. Combine that with a Grok who's going to be making it so your squishies on your team have to get heals because of this constant shock pulse pressure coming in. There's really no way for them to keep up. I want to see the healing charts for a moment because the Furia is trying to keep up with this Genos, but with 2 other people healing, there is no way your team will ever be as healthy as the other side.
It's been a lot of fun kind of seeing this healer utility Sky come into the meta.
It's been great, honestly. The speed is also a kind of a big understated part of the kit too.
Sure.
A lot of the speed effects, a lot of the base movement speed, even Nimble itself as a card have been kind of taken down. So you can see Dissipate, 40% for 3 seconds. When that's also getting constantly reset by Confound as well, that's so much more mobile than most of the game is these days.
You put in some healing vapors as well, also at level 5. You're going to heal and be quick while you're doing it. That's a good seismic crash, maybe sets up a couple, but Shucks is going to shrug that one off, and Shiro, he's the first death in this one again. Suddenly Arnara is missing from the mid fight, and the rest of Mad Grizzly Gaming is going to try to pull back, but Victor's still up high, trying to confirm some good damage. Smokescreen not in time to save Shucks' life this time, but still 60% for Yeezy PogChamp. You still have to fight into a Vivian, fight into a Grok, and that is not an easy task.
Especially Rom into Genos specifically, tries to dash and touch the point, immediately gets shut down. That's so much of his sustain gone. 75% DR just over. Easy PogChamp easily play their Ice Mines comp to a 3-0 start on ice.
And I think this is why I was so excited to see how this played out, because you know, from the get-go, the moment you see those 5 picks locked in, this is the potential that it brought. And let's keep that gas pedal pressed down. Kronos, Shiro, and the Furia all back to base, and Rom is going to be soon to follow. Uses his ultimate just to buy maybe a quarter of a second of time there, but with 2 minutes left, a 4-0 seems imminent here for Yeezy PogChamp.
I think he just didn't want his team to make fun of him for not using it at all. I think it might be hitting that point. Just wants to get it spent, get it done, get a little bit of bonus damage.
Yeah, you don't want to lose
4-0
right? With it still off of cooldown, right?
I think he had to find some place to use it, because it doesn't seem like he has any space anywhere else on this map. They do push Denkady down a little bit, but still no one on Yeezy PogChamp feels pressured at all. Yeah,
and unfortunately with that Rom ultimate down, that's going to be a dome shield that is going to sit free and clear until it's timeout, unless they choose to focus most of their damage in that direction. And this would be a great time to use it for Dankheady TV if he chooses to drop down next to that payload. And Shiro falls, so does Kronos. And Deja Vu is seeing Deja Vu, seeing things twice as he is back in base. And Yeezy PogChamp, they roll their way to a 4-0. That was maybe one of the fastest Ice Mines I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be so fast, right? I mean, that was so much movement speed from the sky, from the Grok. That was probably one of the hardest games I've ever seen a ROM play.
Yeah.
Even if you get into the backline, right, you get on top of the target you want, they're so fast, you're never going to catch up to them. You have to run after them, chasing your own team.
And they picked that ROM into the Genos, remember. They saw the Genos locked in, still figured the ROM would have been good. But talk about a tough game for Frontlines. We'll see those post-game stats in just a sec.
You're not along for the danger, but I'm here to stay. I fall even deeper in the lies, they don't keep me away. You wanna know my secrets, so you keep crashing into my waves. I don't have the patience for that. Not okay with waiting for that. I don't know what's changed in my head. Let's go somewhere and never come back. Tonight we lose control. No matter where we go, we're never going home. And you don't even know when I get you alone. You can lose your halo. You can lose your halo. What you waiting for? I've been feeling low. Won't you give me more? I fall even deeper in the lies, they don't keep me away. You wanna know my secrets, so you keep crashing into my waves. I don't have the patience for that. Not okay with waiting for that. I don't know what's changed in my head. Let's go somewhere and never come back. Tonight we lose control. No matter where we go, we're never going home. And you don't even know.
The trend continues, even in North America. Another dominant game one where a team sweeps the competition. Gormizer, this time it was Yeezy PogChamp really taking Mad Grizzly Gaming to task.
Yeah, and we'll probably see a lot more of why when we see Sky's damage numbers and then next to it all of the healing numbers that came through for them. I mean, again, going into it, it kind of felt like a very Ice Mines kind of draft. And, well, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, one of those kinds of drafts. Nullified specifically, 10-2. I mean, he was just running the show for as much as they could. But it really is the fact that cool, your support directly did more healing, but then you had another 30,000 on top of that coming from other sources.
Insane. And the damage numbers as well. I mean, 60k for Grok, 57 for Nullified on the Sky. Only one player in the 40s for Mad Grizzly, and that's just into the 40s with Kronos on the Zin.
Yeah.
A clean performance here by Yeezy PogChamp. But Ice Mines, I don't know, normally it's one of those maps that tends to stall out a little bit and take a long time. But I imagine maps like that can also lend themselves to blowouts like this.
Yeah, this is one, especially more recently, and this kind of encompasses the last split of competitive last year, where teams just kind of figured it out. Like, it was like 7 points consistently, no matter what, and then one team was just like, you know what, actually, no. How about not that anymore?
We kind of feel like capping. I don't know.
And so they just all of a sudden 4-0'd, and it was kind of like, okay, well, now this team is a dangerous team to take to Ice Mines because they can just 4-0 you on it. And more teams, I think, watched that footage, figured out what it was going right, the composition that kind of opened up to it, what champions were the ones that really lend themselves to a 4-0, and the playstyle specifically that had it. Now we're seeing a lot more often. It's kind of become a scarier map to go to.
It's, I imagine that initial sort of renaissance of how to play Ice Mines probably was born out of scrims being needed. Like, guys, we got to go. Oh, crap, we got to play Ice Mines. It's going to take half an hour now for these scrims to end. And you got to figure out a strategy real quick to try and get that 4-0 in your favor.
Guys, I got dinner in like 10 minutes. We cannot be here long.
It seems like every single team, by the way, today has had dinner in 10 minutes with the way these sets have gone. And
just
Yeezy PogChamp might be hungry right now with the way they're playing as we head on over to Serpent Beach. Another Terminus ban. This time is, I mean, on Ice Mines, Terminus very, very highly prioritized. How about on Serpent Beach?
Yeah, I mean, this is one, like, he's not anywhere near Ice Mines level. Like, in my mind, Ice Mines is like definitive. Terminus will work here. Maybe win you the game, maybe not, but he is absolutely going to be a good pick.
Sure.
Then you get to like Jack Falls, Serpent Beach, where it's like Terminus is a solid pick here. Again, not going to win you the game, not going to lose you the game, but just kind of slot in where you would need a good, solid front line. Then you start to see him fall off, I think, a little bit more. We've seen him a couple of other places, and he's been on the rise a lot this year versus what we saw last year. And I think it was just that kind of eye-opener. Once you see him on Ice Mines, you're like, this is how he works.
Sure.
All of a sudden, oh, wait, we can maybe convert that to other areas.
Man, this is a beefy front line here for Yeezy.
Some big
Torvald,
boys.
Barrick, first two picks. And on the other side, Mad Grizzly's picked some decent damage, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to take it down as Sky locked in once again for Yeezy PogChamp. I mean, all I'm saying is that Torvald had a 100% win rate, according to those stats, and Sky had a 100% win rate, according to those stats. They've got both of them. That seems like good odds to me.
Yeah, you know what? If you're a betting man, there's definitely some numbers that are backing you up on that one.
Oh, no, but Ash has a 100% win rate.
But it's
Who
I
knows?
think it maybe comes in with the play rate. I think I can maybe count on one hand how many times I've seen Ash in the last 3
Sure.
weeks. Sky has been up there. Torvald has been banned a lot more than we've seen him picked up. But I think Sky plus Torvald, and on Serpent Beach with a Grover and a Zin, again, a lot of sustainability on this team, a lot of capability to keep you alive or maybe some others, and then a lot of melt. I mean, you're going to need a ton if you're this Ashen Khan. Like, your shields have to be on point, your lockdown has to be on point, and your DPS has to back you up so heavily, or else the Sky is going to run rampant again.
This Drogo's selection, Drogo's is always a character that I look at and go, someone's got to try and shut him down. Is Sky the one that you're looking to do that?
I think Sky can get back there a little more consistently. Depending on if Barrett goes tinkering or not, he could potentially be the one to help lock him down. But Sky's going to have to go back, and it's going to be very difficult for her because it's going to be like, cool, now you have to break through Ash, then presumably Victor, Genos, and get to the Drogos. Like, you have 4 targets if you're the Sky.
Let's see if Yeezy PogChamp can keep the trend going here in North America for game number 2. It's Kresnik and a man who loves leg day more than his own mother, Dave Olsen.
Come on now. We all know that's not true. I did a leg day today, and it was the worst day of the week by far. And I also love my mother. Hi, Mom. I know you're watching. Serpent Beach for game number 2 between Yeezy PogChamp, a name that I'm going to have to abbreviate, and Mad Grizzly Gaming. And they're going to stick with this Sky Kresnik, and Smoke and Dagger worked out for him last time. I imagine it works out pretty well for them here again.
Yeah, another almost triple supporty comp too. I mean, Grover definitely support, but Torvin Sky, kind of debatable, at least off for both, but that's still going to be a lot of healing, a lot of shielding that Mad Grizzly are going to have to burn through with nowhere near as much healing in response.
Well, my boy Dankheady TV down on the point, 48% to start off for Yeezy PogChamp. So great start there for them. And Mad Grizzly Gaming, you know, they've stuck with the Victor on Ice Mines. They think it'll probably bring them some success here. And the Drogos is actually going to open up a nice little door there for Kronos to get the kill. Deja Vu, a nice double on that Drogos, going to put them in control of this mid, but still lots of time to game. Yeezy PogChamp, plenty of time to get back and fight.
Yeah, Dankheady just overstayed his welcome a little bit. I don't think they were expecting the pounce from the Drogos onto the objective. A root catches him out, and you can see that CC from Grover kind of really coming in to help the team out. No, not really a lot of other CC in the team too, so a lot of utility. They're not going to be running resilience. Barrick makes it to the point, but not able to stay for too long, I don't think.
Yeah, these are the important picks here. Whoever wins this fight likely wins the first point, and Dankheady starting it great for YPC, and now Khan just hiding back behind that shield, and Shiro, unfortunately, is going to fall for his troubles, and that looks like point number 1 for Yeezy PogChamp. They just got enough of the percentage early in this game, Krez, that Mad Grizzly Gaming had too much time to make up and open the door for one more shot from YPC.
They also managed to catch someone out early, too. By deathballing, they kind of made all their healing and sustain stacked together. There was really no way for them to burn through it on the other side. And now Yeezy even has, on top of all that, they have an execute from the guillotine from the Xin, able to immediately take someone out of the fight, make a game of 5v4 if they so choose. Now that that shout's down, they actually might go for it. It looks like Shiro's expecting it too with that dash out.
Yeah, they're going to push their way in. The poison just keeping that healing mitigated enough. Nullify doing a good job on this Sky. Assert dominance, up, down in the doorway. Just locks him up for a second and keeps himself alive, but doesn't really find much more from it. Eevee is going to keep himself in range. Through time and space flew through, didn't find much, but did set up a positional advantage for the rest of Mad Grizzly Gaming to move in. This is where you want to be if you're a Victor. Just pour down some damage. It looks like the offensive push is going to have to wait for one more shot.
It's even freer for the Victor, too, with Kronos 10 on it. There's no way for them to get onto him. There's no verticality on Yeezy PogChamp at all. The only way they're really going to take him down is a Xin ult up there, which you want to use on a tank anyway, or maybe catching him with a Hyper Beam from all the way back there on that platform.
Yep.
Even then, your Dwarf's not in the right place, so Kronos going to be super free on the Hyper.
Hear me out. Grover Vine to go 1 versus 1 against Kronos. I don't imagine that works out very well for him, but they got to figure out a way to deal with it because that's a free barrage down onto Dankheady. But when you have a Xin who's kind of free-firing, despite how well that fight starts off, it's not going to end well for Mad Grizzly Gaming. At this point, it's just a Drogos. Deja Vu goes down. It's one after another maybe for Mad Grizzly Gaming here with 40 or so seconds left. That's the stun, but Shiro not going to stay alive to contest, and that is point number 2 for YPC.
They figured it out. Kill everybody else.
Yeah.
Just ignore the Victor.
Sure.
Run past. He can't reposition that fast.
Normally, I'm scared to hear you say that. If somebody says, let's ignore Victor, that doesn't sound great, but it works out.
Usually that's how you have to deal with them, by pressuring them, but they just walked past him. Kronos had to sprint to the other side, and maybe everyone else a little bit too forward, not really playing off of that Victor advantage as much as they could have been. So not utilizing the comp to its best, because they want to set up a surround. You know, if they get the Drogos on one side, the Victor on the other, and both tanks are just locking them down in the front,
right,
then they can rain damage on all sides with no response from Yeezy PogChamp. By the tanks going forward and trying to hold, that's kind of setting one line, which lets them pick them off one by one a little bit more.
Well, there was a bright spot in the last mid-fight for Mad Grizzly Gaming. About halfway through, they were able to regain control and get very close to capturing it. So Yeezy PogChamp will look to mitigate a lot of that. The overpower did connect onto the Barrack, but didn't get him fully off the map. Did set him up. Oh, no! That's a nice Hyper Beam. That's going to knock a couple off. Nice double kill there from Eevee Snurf. And Geo is going to pull one back for Mad Grizzly Gaming, but not before the rest of Yeezy PogChamp storms the gates. Mad Grizzly Gaming being torn apart here. That's 5 in a row for the Sky. Yeezy PogChamp right back on the point with 51%.
Huge stagger, too, on that Ashe, so it's going to have to be the Khan that touches, even though Ashe could potentially be getting close to ult. It does charge pretty quickly. Only Khan's taking so much free damage here. He's the only one moving into contest.
He's just around the corner. Uses his commander's grab, so he's not going to have that to get back in range to contest here. 99% becomes 100. Whirlwind just to maybe start off this push on the right foot, but nonetheless, Yeezy PogChamp grab point number 3. Whirlwind is spent, still got 2 minutes to do it, and now 1 point away from taking the map.
That's failure in communication. They had no one ready to move in for the objective.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the Ashe was screaming that she had it even though she clearly didn't, but they just need to find their point control. They need to have it very clear about who's doing it. If you mess that up, that's the easiest way to fail on an objective.
Yeah, there are moments where, you know, maybe it looks like Khan is going to be able to drop down and get something going there for himself, but used his commander's grab to lock down one of the members of Easy PogChamp. Didn't have that up to close the gap on that point. And now after a speedy Ice Mines, this Serpent Beach is much the same. 6 and some change into this game. 1 minute and 40 seconds left on maybe the final point of game number 2. Wallenberry still 11 streak on that Grover. Raj didn't find much, if anything, there. Instead, it's actually Mad Grizzly Gaming who are falling. 3 down, suddenly make it 4. Turning tail is Kronos. One final shot. Good sidestep just to stay alive. But it's now only 2 members trying to defend against a fully stacked Easy PogChamp.
The Jorgos is supposed to have no counters here, right? Right, Dave?
Right.
I'm not wrong in that? So why is he...
In theory,
Is
sure.
there a radar on the map that he's trying to avoid? Because he's flying way too close to the ground 90% of the time. He's just making it easy for Easy PogChamp to take him down.
Well, that was a big difference maker, wasn't it? In that first point fight, the Drogos was able to find a nice double kill, plug away some good damage, but positionally, maybe some questions here as we approach what could be the final engagement. That barrage is going to melt down some of those health bars, so this looks like death delayed for Mad Grizzly Gaming as Easy PogChamp's final, now 1 remaining member, is going to get themselves out alive, but still 35 seconds left, 2/3 of the way there on a couple of their ultimates. Mad Grizzly Gaming, they don't have anything. Yeah, you might get yourself an assert dominance, but still a good spot for Easy PogChamp.
There's enough time for Easy PogChamp to charge every single one of their ultimates going into this, and only really assert dominance and Dragon Punch to respond. The Drogus is also playing inside, out of sight of his Victor. And it looks like they're going to be potentially surrounded in a second, and yeah, they're just not using this Victor's damage well.
Well, Shiro gets traded out, but Ballenberry, that 11 streak comes to a close. With that Grover falling 2 for 2 so far, and Deja Vu's going to add 1 more. That's Dome Shield dropped down, so Easy PogChamp still feel comfortable about their spot in this one, not able to trade out the kill. Deja Vu grabs a few, and finally it looks like point number 1 will arrive for Mad Grizzly Gaming.
And did get the Dragon Punch out of it, so that's pretty solid, but
sure.
Assert Dominance still up for Mad Grizzly. That's something that could be honestly huge for them to go to the other side, being able to push onto their high ground, take control from behind for them, and there's, as we know, there's no answer. Shiro made an attempt. There was a shot, the Ragdoll flying into the ocean, and
See you.
Rojo Manzana deciding just not to cancel that Stellar Wind. He made his bet, and he's going to land it.
What is it? Frog Isle is beneath Serpent Beach somewhere, so he's soaring his way off to Frog Isle if the wall didn't stop him on his way. Deja Vu, you brought up his positioning at the end of that one mid-fight, but still at 12-4 and 3. I mean, those were a rough 4, I think. Those 4 deaths came at impactful times, but this Mad Grizzly Gaming seems to hinge a lot on this Drogos.
He's definitely a bright light on their comp right now for sure, but you can tell he has to be with how their composition is on the other side. Again, there's no counter as long as he's putting himself in the right place. He just has to stay there.
That's Whirlwind to start off, but a great snipe to return the kill. That's some support on support crime there as Ballenberry is back to base. Eevee Snurf is going to try to trade back 1, but plenty of damage for Mad Grizzly Gaming. Noafide's going to grab the kill. Kronos looking for a good target from this barrage, but doesn't get too much out of it. Finally steps back in, is Noafide, maybe caught out by his teammate moving in, but Easy PogChamp, they haven't had to step off the point yet. Mad Grizzly Gaming, they're getting the kills, but they got no percentage.
And they lost Noafide, but it's not enough. Salvo coming in above, pushing them back, but even then, they're still losing the fight.
Oh no, Deja Vu, he drops as well. 72% is Dank Hetty. That's a bit of respite there for Mad Grizzly Gaming. Eevee Snurf does have that Hyper Beam. Could buy the space if need be towards the end here. Shiro is not going to be the recipient of that ultimate just yet. Kronos is going to pull away. Plenty of damage from Nullified. This is now maybe the point. You bring out that Hyper Beam, just push him back. He says yes, please. Easy PogChamp. That's a 4-1.
They got the Sky early, but as the fight went on, she got back from the spawn. The bubble on her to chase down the Victor at the end, I think, was huge. If that damage had remained in the fight, it might have been a lot tougher with that Barrack dead, but Sky immediately takes down the priority target. That Torvald able to sit uncontested and just Hyper Beam everyone else away.
That's just better point control from Easy PogChamp. I mean, there were kills for Mad Grizzly Gaming. You don't really convert it into much there towards the mid. Still some bright spots. The damage dealers, I think, had a great game.
Yeah, I think so. The Drogos and the Victor, I think, did a good job. But, again, not being where they need to be when it matters most.
Well, maybe one final game. A game 3. Can Easy PogChamp close this one out? Find out right after this.
Well, it was slightly closer this time around, but the overall trend of one team dominating here today has continued. Another easy victory for Easy PogChamp, but Gormizer, at least Mad Grizzly Gaming got 1 point.
They're fighting back, and there's like a lot of moments where the score is showcasing, well, exactly what it is, where Yeezy is in control most of the time, but it's a little misleading in the fact that Grizzly have been able to put up a little more of a fight than admittedly we've seen out of Brazil or Europe today.
Sure.
They're keeping pace on some of these points, is just not able to solidify. Like the first point in this game is a perfect example. They were able to take control, win a fight. They just did it so late in the point for Yeezy that they were able to come back, fight, and capture it.
I mean, these are the most competitive score lines we've seen. 9-5 for Kronos, 12-5 for Deja Vuper. I mean, this is tough when you feel like you're getting closer. I mean, 60k damage on this Drogos, but 85k for this Jhin. It was certainly the biggest brawl we've seen.
Yeah, and it's tons of fighting that has been able to come through. A lot of it on the side of Grizzly was facilitated by that Genos, who had 90,000 healing coming down, which is ridiculous numbers for
That's
a
a
Genos.
lot.
Considering there were 3 sources of healing that Yeezy PogChamp had, and all of them added up to about that 90,000. It's impressive. Granted, you could argue that Mad Grizzly Gaming had more to heal than you saw out of Yeezy, but
Sure.
it still opened up a lot. But Nullified was comfortable on Sky once, was comfortable on Sky twice. I don't know if Sky is essential to their composition, but as of right now, is comfortable on Sky, could be going for a hat trick.
And this is where it's a little bit tougher at times than in a game like Smite, where you have that extra ban in the first phase, and then the later bans later on. You can afford to really target someone with a ban. Is there any way the Mad Grizzly Gaming could ever even think about banning Sky in this next game?
Man, that is the toughest question to try and think about. I think there's a realm where they could, but you just have to hope that whatever they pick up in its stead is something you can deal with. That's the problem with banning specifically damage champions. If you ban supports, there's like 4 or 5 that are going to be competitively viable that people are running.
Sure.
And admittedly, 3 of them are the ones that everyone loves, right? If you ban tanks, you've got a few that are going to be like the I'm going to win this game for you tanks, and then a few that are like Anara, where it's just like she's not going to lose you the game, she might not win you the game, she's just going to do her job.
Point.
Right, yeah. But DPS, it's like, man, I'm going to ban that Eevee. It's like, cool, I'll go Maeve, I guess. Or, oh, yeah, I'm going to ban this Sky. It's like, all right, now I will pick Eevee or Maeve, or I'll pick someone else. Like, you can't take out enough of them to make it worth your while.
It's going to be a tough task, I think, for Mad Grizzly Gaming to try and claw back and give us a win for the underdogs so far. We haven't seen one all day. We're ready for game number 3. Ascension Peak will be the map as Yeezy PogChamp try and close out what would be a 9-game day for
They
us
could
on the day.
easily change their name, drop the Y, and just be Easy PogChamp from this point on, right?
Ooh, I like where your head's at, Gormizer. Nicely done. Look at that, though. Mad Grizzly Gaming do first ban the Sky.
Man.
It's a little bit better to ban it in first pick, though, right? Because at least it lets you control what your draft is going to look like with that top pick a little bit better. But you're leaving open some pretty potent picks on the back end for sure.
And what I like is they ban like Sky Zen, which both are going to be potent on this map, or at least the Sky with what we've seen from Nullified is going to be potent. Bomb King, Torvald, again, both can be very strong here. But Barrack, Genos, you've got Furia, you've got Rom, all still in the pool. So many big champions that are going to be able to come through. And if you're Yeezy, especially against Barrack, this for me is a Genos Rom pick.
Yeah, very easily, it seems. No, it's actually going to be Genos Terminus.
They have to have something going for them on Terminus because it's been banned against them twice now.
Sure, and they left open that ROM on Ice Mines and let Mad Grizzly Gaming pick it, and then they beat it and pretty handily on that map.
The key here would be Dome Shield. Rommel demolishes shield, so the minute it goes up, Barrack loses his ult. Same thing for Khan. If he gets caught out, if he's trying to shield, the stun that comes through is just so potent against them. I still really like it for them.
There it
and
is.
I think they are going to like it as well. It's just there's so much counter pick against the Barrack that it feels kind of silly actually to not pick him up if you're Mad Grizzly here.
Vivian also there to add even more damage to a lineup that probably needs a little bit more, but certainly has a tough front line to cut through. Tyra usually very good at burning down these point tanks, throwing that firebomb on the point, but is that going to be enough? I mean, I feel like Rom is one of those tanks that can play point tank and then can just chase around your back line for an eternity.
Yeah, he can do. He does everything and more with this map. A lot of good
Get you
zoning.
a demon who does both.
And man, I like to say, hey, firebomb, % damage, it's awesome. But Rom, you have to make sure he stays in it. And for the most part, he doesn't care. He's probably not going to be locked there for long. Luckily, you can, like with the cripple it has, isolate him a little bit more and maybe focus fire. But then you're investing a lot into just killing the one guy when there's 4 others around him.
Game 3, potentially our last one of a very quick day. Throw it down to Kresnik, and a man whose friendship I appreciate, Dave Olsen.
Oh, come on. How you about to get me all gushy like that before going to game 3? You softened me up throughout the first few, and then you just swing it home there on what could be the 3rd and final game of this North American semifinal. Hit scan is the name of the game here, Kresnik. The Easy Pog champs, they've got a lot of it between a Victor and a Vivian. But that's not to scoff at the Tyra and the Koga, but you did give me a look, though, when that Tyra was locked in.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be as good on this map as Victor could be. You need a little bit more range, and Tyra, that's where she's been lacking forever.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted Burn Monster to counter the ROM, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. He just walks away.
Yeah, normally, you pick a Genos to kind of scare the other team away from the ROM, or the ROM is banned out, but you're going to get both here if you're Yeezy PogChamp, and I'm worried about playing against that if I'm Mad Grizzly Gaming, and he's just going to drop that shoulder, move his way into the back line, and you can see the respect the Mad Grizzly Gaming have to pay this ROM. They backed themselves up, a double kill now for Nullified. I don't know, man. Mad Grizzly Gaming, they are nowhere to be found in this mid-fight.
It's just been so many tough games for the tanks of Mad Grizzly, because Barrack and Khan, what are they realistically going to do into a Victor Vivian? They just destroy shields, and that's all that their sustain really is. Khan has his shout, but it's not going to last forever. It's just so hard for the tanks to take and control any space.
Can I see the kills really quick? Actually, Vivian was able to grab it. Okay, I figured that as much. Nullified had all 5 of the first 5 kills in this game before Vivian snagged number 6 there for the first one for some parity. No kills just yet for Mad Grizzly. But, this Victor has been left unchecked for so long, and I don't even know if it's unchecked. They've just been so focused on this front line. Easy PogChamps have busted down that door, and now the onslaught continues, a 7 streak for this Victor. All 7 of them, all 8 of them are kills, maybe adding an assist here, but Nullified is feeling free and clear to doing whatever he wants.
I think Mad Grizzly's just so focused on actually making something happen after not really doing much. You saw the Barrack pushing up on the stairs to the high ground. Victor was behind him the whole time. He didn't turn once because they just wanted to actually push something so bad.
It's a dream start from the Victor here. Koga's going to drop himself down, pop that ultimate. Here's an Inflame for Mad Grizzly Gaming, and hopefully you're able to win a bit of defensive space off of that, and they've been able to do so as 3 members of the Easy PogChamp are going to backpedal their way away from that payload, but with 1 minute and 15 seconds left, still enough time for them to kind of regroup themselves. And now you look at kind of that first wave of ultimates starting to come online. Overpower used there as well as the Inflame. Talk about the ROM ultimate through time and space. The Sentinels are going to be coming out soon. This is still very much in the wheelhouse of YPC.
For sure, especially if that Khan is just going to try to get that aggressive into, again, hard counter DPS, which is just what Easy PogChamp keep drafting. So much pressure in front, and none of these tanks can stand any ground.
40 seconds left, and the respawn timers not necessarily in their favor. Savage now for Nullified. That's a 10 streak for the Victor. Koga's, I think, used most of his energy there. Is actually able to get out alive. Nobody really turned around and addressed him. Might have had one more dash, but you have to address the payload at some point, and there's his ultimate once more, and there is a ROM ultimate waiting if need be. Dome Shield, that's a perfect time to use it. And unfortunately, Shiro's Dome Shield lasts maybe half a second before it does fall, but Easy PogChamp's not returning a lot of the damage that is being set up now by that front line. Barrage is there. They are able to open up enough space with Shiro going down and Geo back in base as well. The 2 frontliners are gone, and point number 2 rolls its way in.
All the ultimates go back and forth, and I do want to say, I don't know if there is a perfect time to use the Dome Shield against a ROM. It just goes away.
Right,
it just gets shredded.
My mind was thinking that's the perfect time for ROM to ult, an unperfect time for Barrack to drop the Dome Shield. You're correct.
There's no good time for it. This is one of the reasons why ROM has been so strong. Barrack has been very dominant as a point tank, being good with every healer, where Inara might falter with some of the less bursty ones, whether it be Grover or Genos. Barrack having the ability to pair with any healer, having great damage on his own, and having a ton of self-sustain when his healer goes down. Being able to just get rid of one of his best sustain tools immediately, while also then immediately just giggling and running away, it's so impactful, and it's one of the reasons why he's been so contested through all these games today.
Well, Nullified has been so unchecked so far this game, only one death. He's moved himself into some of those green items, and that's not normally something you see when Cauterize is being applied consistently, and Nullified feels just fine buying into that one this time. Unfortunately, not able to grab the kill there, but Eevee Snurf still alive. Is going to just drop right on through that Furia. And now with 57%, still complete mid-control for Yeezy PogChamp.
He could actually get pulled into the well here, but it looks like they don't even want to try for it.
What?
Maybe gets him on the stun,
Oh, no.
but not the right angle to get him in the well.
That would have been the best trick shot I've maybe ever seen. And Rom just considers it a slight repositioning despite the toss backwards. And now with 99%, overtime is on it. It is lengthy, but with Shiro falling, I don't imagine a world where anyone from Mad Grizzly Gaming is in range here, but they want to keep going. A couple low health bars here, and with Sentinels popped out, you could get most of this payload push done right here.
Yeah, and most of the team was low. They managed to get one turn with Deja Vu's ult, but I don't think they'll be able to follow up more after that.
Raj drops down, Nullified grabs the kill. Just gonna move himself back, dodges out the Furia beam. Maybe not the fight he wants to be taking, just needed another burst or two, but realizing that the bulk of his health pool, his team's health pool is down, he's gonna move himself right back to the mid fight. This is where you gotta make your stand if you're Mad Grizzly Gaming. One final point lost, and you're out of this finals, but you are qualified to the group stages for a bit of a silver lining. But I don't know, Krez, nothing has really been going in their favor so far this game.
Now, one person just keeps getting too aggressive, and it changes every time. It can be Geo, it can be the Koga trying to push up on that objective, but they just keep falling one by one. And I liked how you pointed out the Victor's cards. If I could see the Victor's build for one moment, I want to see if he's running high-tier Predator, that would mean he's just trying to stack, Predator 5, 40% lifesteal every time he's aiming down sights. Now stack that with, yes, diminishing returns on the card itself. That's a Victor that's even harder to kill. Since they're snowballing so hard, the Cauterize just isn't there yet to make him even a viable target.
Yeah, they haven't been able to drop down and counter out any of this damage, and doesn't look like it's going to be happening just yet. Inflame, maybe his last bastion of hope here for Mad Grizzly Gaming is used. That's a double kill from the Vivian. 3 members left alive, soon to be 2. Once Nullified grabs the kill with the ultimate, 5 members down, 4 points on the board. And Yeezy PogChamps in easy fashion move their way in. That is a 9-game day for us here today. These finals and semifinals have been quick.
Yeah, it was definitely... I can't believe it went so quickly. It is week 3. I mean,
That's
this
true.
is the time you'd expect to see it more than anything. But still, I mean, even in the matchups that could have been more even, had the teams that we recognized a lot more, EU, still dominance from all sides. And that, honestly, it's a good sign for those teams moving into these group stages against the weeks 1 and 2 teams.
Well, despite not grabbing any wins here today, Mad Grizzly Gaming find themselves in the group stages. We'll be broadcasting those a week from today. But for one final time, we'll go back to Ryan Agro Bailey to take us home.
Thank you very much, Dave and Kresnik. That's right, a 9-game day, a quick one here in the Paladins qualifier realm. Gormizer, I mean, as they highlighted, a lot of teams trying to make it into the final group stages. Probably a lot of sighs of relief getting past the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and maybe some teams let off the gas pedal a little bit.
I mean, there's that certain decision again where it's just like, cool, we've made it to where we want to be. We don't have to stress out too much about it. And then you get like the opposite players, right? Like Shuxius and Nullified here, where it's, yeah, you know what? Also 15-2 and 14-3. There is no chill for them when it comes down to it. I mean, that was just their show to run, and I think it's a good showcase going into the group stages. Just, you know, you have players to look out for, threads on every single team that could kind of make a splash for their team. And, well, Yeezy just showcased that they also have it as well.
Guess so. I mean, Dave highlighted it right away. The double hit scan coming into that game. They end the game with a combined 29 kills. That seems like it was working for them for sure.
I'd give it an A+. It's pretty solid, you know? It's like maybe 100 on the... Well, I guess they didn't die, or they did die, so you can't give them, like, the perfect 100. But, like,
scrubs.
Definitely high 90s, right? Like, it was a very, very good run for them. And, I mean, again, Ascension Peak, in my mind, isn't necessarily one of those. Also, I love it. The replays, we do, in fact, have Easy PogChamp playing for them as they come through. And, well, that was the set. It was 3 games, and it was pretty easy for them.
Yeah, it really was. And that was kind of the story throughout the day today. I mean, these teams, all the teams you saw today, even the ones that didn't have their best showings, will be at the group stages, so hopefully they can put it together before then. Certainly the case for Mad Grizzly Gaming and Team FT, at least in North America.
Yeah.
But these boys had impressive showings basically throughout the day. Now, it is worth noting that despite this showing from Easy PogChamp, it looks like it was a 3-0 for Latin Bansir, but I believe that may have been a forfeit or something like
yeah,
that.
I think coming through, that was one of the things. In Brazil and North America, it was another forfeit that came through in the finals for both of those. So it's one of those things, hey, you made it to the finals. Sometimes it's all you need.
Sometimes it's all you need. Certainly was for Easy PogChamp. Let's take a look at those North American groups that you'll be seeing a week from today. Gormizer, which group do you think has the harder qualification path?
Oh, man, that's difficult. Honestly, I'm looking at, I think, Group B when it comes down. Team Project, Triple Deeps, Full Send all over there, plus some of the teams that we just saw in Yeezy PogChamp and Mad Grizzly. Like, they're going to have a difficult time against those top three. Invocal and the Idiots now Invocal and the Kings up there with HP OfficeJet Pro 6978. It's definitely going to be interesting over there, but there's, I think, a little more wiggle room. I think, obviously, Invocal and his team are going to escalate towards the top three no matter what.
Sure.
But I think the other five are pretty close together and can wiggle around in those top two spots that are left.
We had a discussion about good team names versus bad team names. Where does HP, OfficeJet, whatever the numbers were, rank for you?
In terms of making me laugh, it's definitely high up there.
Yes.
I like that name.
But I don't want to say it on cast, ever, under any circumstances. Unfortunately, well, or fortunately, if you were a fan of theirs, you will be hearing their name on cast next week. So make sure you tune in for those group stages where all this work for all these teams that they've put in so far will come to fruition. We'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching. You can peach it.